Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us again on Crash and Chug. This week's guests, we have Kai and Karen from KaiVentureBags. These guys are a two-man crew, veteran-owned organization, small business that makes bike bags out of their RV living home, as they call it. These two are really good people, and I'm pretty sure you'll see that through this podcast, so sit back and enjoy it. If you don't have the time to watch us on video, please check us out on Spotify or your favorite streaming apps. Still pending approval from Apple, so stand by on that. But we're streaming on everything else, so sit back and enjoy it. Thanks. Hey, thanks for coming. How was the driving today?
Fun.
Yeah.
A little long.
Yeah, I know you guys just said you almost got ran off the road with some crazy ass drivers.
You Californians?
Yeah.
Yeah. Transplants? No.
Yeah.
No.
So I appreciate you guys coming in. I know you guys are in Palestine. How was that?
It was an experience. Yeah, I rode. We did sponsored an event there, and I rode it. I rode it the first mile. I tried to do 105. I came up short. We took a shortcut. We followed people on the route, and they ended up going to a different. Like, we saw them going up, like they were going up a way, and they turned around and went a different path, and we're like, oh, they went the wrong way. We'll just follow them, and they ended up doing a shortcut. And then we got lost off the track, and then we were in an area with no signal, and his Strava map messed up. So I was like, oh, let's just go back. I was like,
yeah,
let's find. I'll navigate us back, and we did, and we just rode together like all the way, and we ended up just doing 88 miles or 86 miles, and we're like, that's good enough for us. Like I was like, that's fine, you know. So I was like, next time I'm gonna do it next year for sure. I'm gonna try to do the back-to-back.
What kind of race was this?
It's a gravel race. So we did El Camino Gravel in Palestine, Texas, and it's a double day. It's two 105ers, so you can do a total of 210, and you get the overall prize if you do both, and you get actually prize money if you win. So I just did one day. Nice. And most people try to do two. Some people quit afterwards because it's not an easy route. It's called the Camino Gravel Challenge for a reason. Right. You know, there's sandy sections. It's all gravel. You know, it's a long mileage, so you have to prepare for the day. Like, your body needs prepared. You know, they had stop stations and aid stations where you can refill up with water, food, Gatorade. And then we went back. We had like a little booth and area so people can take like bags with them if they needed it. And then people want some bags when they won categories. Yeah, there was a 16-year-old out there with her dad riding the 100.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I know I saw some pictures you guys had posted, and I was like, man, that seems pretty cool. I just and obviously you guys didn't have a gravel bike, right?
I did. I had one.
You had a gravel bike?
Yeah.
You have a gravel bike?
Yeah, I have a Breezer Doppler.
Yeah. So we're referencing when they're talking about the slide thing. I met them at Angel Fire. We went to Angel Fire when we did a trip with the Dirt Therapy Project, and that's where we met them. They went to the trip as well, and that's where we met each other. So you guys live in, you say RV life? Is that
RV living.
RV living.
RV living. Okay.
I live in the RV life.
That's something I kind of, I want to do one of these days, and that's why I was asking you guys questions. I appreciate you guys showing us your humble abode and everything that was kind of. And you guys built a lot of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I built it all. It was an empty storage container, pretty much. So I chopped the holes, insulate the walls, put up walls, do it all, put a shower in there.
You didn't know how to do any of that, right?
Yeah, you did.
So from childhood, I pretty much learned from having to do all the projects with my dad, learned everything as a child, and then as I got a teenager in high school, I got a job with a contractor, so he taught me a little bit under his wing, became a journeyman, and then kind of always did it independently on my own, just side gigs here and there, just to get me by. And what I learned is from young. I really had a cool time.
What kind of like originated that idea to kind of just go on the road?
His idea.
Yeah, sort of. I'm the same as you. I hate sticks and bricks. I like moving. I've always been about nomad and always wanted adventure. And she got me hooked on traveling. We went road tripping when we first met. What was the first one? We did San Diego first.
We did San Diego first.
San
and
Diego
then we did
first.
Portland.
And then we did Portland and Seattle. Those ones were just road trips with our bikes. So we took our bikes, then pedaled around the city, and pedaled around the city and explored it that way. And then came back and we started getting into more serious biking. I got her into biking more, and at that time, I already did the bags, huh? I already had a couple bags for us. Yeah, so that time I was just tinkering with bags on my own for ourselves. I was just making types for ourselves to carry our stuff. And she was always pushing me to run a business, and I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I never want to deal with like, I'll just be working for all the time. Like, no, I already have jobs. I've worked 3 jobs my whole life. I hate working. And so you're going to talk to me again? I was like, all right, fine. So I ended up running the business, and then just saw pretty much with like the way the world's always going. I've always just paid attention to see what's going on, how it's going to affect me, what do I got to know, what I got to do. And we saw kind of a lot of things going downhill with just everything California, owning land. Like when I met her, she was looking to buy and stuff, and there was like, you know, the market is over there, it's ridiculous. It's just like, yeah, you're paying $1 million to live in a freaking shoebox. It's like, what?
Yeah, when we met, I was looking for a home, so I had a lot of money that I saved up to buy a house over there in California, and the only thing I got approved as was like I can only afford a condo over there pretty much because everything is so expensive. So like I was working a lot of hours, and I had a lot of money saved up, and he was committed to me like, don't do it. So I said, all right. And then when I convinced him to do the business, I was like, okay, forget the house, let's focus on the business. So I just put all my money into the business.
Nice.
And then from there, I think it was Bob. We just saw like a video of Bob on there.
We just like the life, like I like traveling as well, and I wanted to travel. Originally, I wanted to do like to just see different cities. I wanted to go to the East Coast. I just wanted to see the United States. And then when he came up to me with this, I didn't say no. I wasn't. He didn't have to show me so many videos. I was up for it, and I was like, let's do it. Why not? Let's go. I want to do it. I want to travel. I want to see different. I want to ride different places. I want to see different cities. You know, ride my bike everywhere, because we can't. Like we were gonna do a bike packing trip, but we figured this would be better. Get out of California, see the world, and work on the road as we do it.
So how long you guys been doing that now?
A year.
A year now.
Yeah, officially almost a year.
On the trailer, a year now.
Nice.
Went a little over a year to be a year. Yeah, I got the idea. Just it was like, oh, it was. So, you know, just something happened in van life started popping up on my YouTube feed for something. What the hell it was? And from there, I started watching. I'm like, hey, it's a cool concept. And then I kind of thought about it with her. Like, watched some videos here and there. We were like, man, imagine living a life like that. We go travel and work. I'm like, dang. And then something else happened. I ended up seeing one concept. I think it was a schoolie bus that I first got. The trailer wasn't even a thing yet. It was a schoolie bus. I was like, we're gonna do a schoolie. I'm like, it's got so much more space. I can fit the machine, our bedroom. It was all like, this is, I think, gonna be the idea. Like, we don't have to get a truck because we didn't have the condo at the time. I'm like, I can technically park that here. We can kind of work on it, or your parents. And then next thing, I saw videos like trailers. We were just having the regular trailers, and I was like, that's a good idea too. But I'd have to gut that. We're gonna spend more money on it, and ultimately we found Airstream.
Like an old trailer.
That's what it was. It was the van life first, and then we went to Sea Otter. And Scratch had an Airstream there that had this setup for when they take it to the events. It's a Scratch coffee barista thingy with a little hangout lounge. And that's where I originally was like, wait, screw the van. What about a trailer? It was 2019. That's what it was. That got me on. And I was like, oh boy. And then we were looking at Airstream for the longest time.
And they let us in. They're like, yeah, you want to check it out? And we went in there and checked it out, and they had like a couch, they had a little area, and they made the coffee or whatever drinks they were making and stuff like that. And we're like, wow, that's really cool.
Nice.
You know,
I got me hooked on the idea. I was like, I can do this all myself. Screw it.
Yeah,
so
it sounds amazing. I mean, I when I first kind of ran into the notion of RVing, I was I was in Arizona. I ended up talking, like, a buddy of mine, a guy on my team, had some friends that we met up with that were driving through, and they had an RV, and they were retired military. And I remember asking the question, it was kind of when it first kind of, like, you know, came into my head, and I was just like, of course, probably the same questions everyone asks you guys, like, what are the top things that you guys don't like about it, what have you. But one of the first things they told me was, like, because it was a couple, and they were like, make sure that you, like, take a couple trips together and make sure you guys get along. You know, because you're going to be crammed together, and they were saying that, like, a lot of people they spoke with that were doing the RV thing, that's one of the biggest things that they found out right away, was that they weren't necessarily compatible in those type of situations, or one of them was into it, the other one wasn't into it. But it sounds like you guys have definitely, like, y'all were both, like, in and both love adventures, so it seems like you guys, it's working out for you guys so far. Yeah.
That's the central bond around Wilson. I mean, everyone's gonna have their get-alongs. Everyone has their differences.
Yeah.
You know, especially in a confined space like that, you just learn to get along, work out things. You've learned the difference of each other you would have never learned otherwise, because you've always had that greater space to get away. So that definitely highlights it, brings it up. And if you know how to get through it, then if anything, it just brings you up closer. And you just look for what's the center of it all, really.
Definitely facing challenges together, facing, like, challenges on the road together. You know, I'm not gonna say it's like sunshine and rainbows or anything like that. You know, every couple has, you know, like, they're what they're working on and stuff like that. So I mean, for us, I mean, it kind of bonded us more together because we're in it together. It's like we're in an adventure together.
Yeah.
Like we go to these remote places together. So it's like more like teamwork.
Yeah, you guys have to.
Not a buddy.
Yeah.
It's dependency on each other because we're in the middle of nowhere, no help. We have nobody. Like we're always strangers everywhere we go.
Yeah.
So it's always a thing. Like you have to understand, we have each other's backs, and we're all each other have at this
Nice.
point in life. Is kind of the real thing you get because you're in the middle of nowhere a lot of times. We're in the forest, deserts.
I think that's crazy because not crazy like in a bad way, but more so crazy in the sense that a lot of people during like Rona, like COVID, that's one of the things that a lot of people they lived in a house and they had to, they didn't have the distractions that they normally have, and they found that I think the divorce rate was. I'm not trying to go dark with this, but it was just really high because a lot of people found that they were really like distracting themselves from each other, if
From
you
the
will,
problems
dealing
of
with their
life.
issues. But you guys actually, did a 180, and you kind of like went on, like not only took on a business, but also took on the idea to travel, something new, something foreign, something exciting, but at the same time kind of scary. You know what I mean? And
It's a double whammy. Double
yeah,
whammy.
Double
that's pretty
whammy for sure.
badass, I mean,
Especially
a year, because I think 6 months in, a lot of people, or I mean, maybe like 4 months in, a lot of people, like people would identify whether or not it's for them or not, like right away, like a lot of people, especially like the United States, I'm generalizing here, but they just kind of, they like their niceties, their conveniences, and what have you. But I'm glad it's working out for you guys so far. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, man,
Thanks.
that's badass, and then that's I definitely appreciate it. As you guys were talking, I was thinking about it. I was like, damn, I remember reading about those studies and cases, like, and not to go dark, but one of my family members, a neighbor across the street, I guess they were getting into a lot, and it's gonna go dark, but it's just like the reality of what it was. I guess the husband, like they were fighting all the time, and yeah, it's gonna go dark. So, but it is night. But it's close to Halloween, so it's cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's sad, but at the same time, it's just.
I mean, it's life. Yeah, you're right. It's life.
Life.
He slit his own throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't expect you
Dang.
there. Yeah. And I'm not trying to make light of it, but it's just like
No,
it
that's
shows
what
the
it is.
seriousness in it. But at the same time, like if you look at the spectrum, there's the bad shit and there's the good stuff, and it seems like you guys kind of persevered through that, and you guys are working out of your RV, and
Not for everyone it goes dark. Some people actually get their marriage stronger. Actually,
Yeah, yeah,
that's how
that's what
actually
I'm
we got
saying.
inspired too. Was another couple we were watching before we got into it was the RV odd couple, and it's the same thing. Like actually, we found out their story later on a little more. But when we first got onto it, they kind of tell you every time they start their intro, they kind of give the synapse of it. But it's basically their marriage was going a little bad. They had pre kids. She remarried with her, had a kid, and it turned out actually there is issues. He was drinking a little too much. They were fighting and stuff,
Right.
and they're about to lose everything. They're about to get divorced. And he thought, what, screw it. This is the only thing important in life is my family, and what's more important than that? Nothing. Like, fuck this.
Right.
Sell it all. Let's go on the road. And they went on the road, and they made a channel out of it, and that's their life now. And it's become this beautiful thing. They've inspired and insane on people. Like they've earned the tens of thousands of followers now, inspiring all these people. They ended up buying a piece of land in Alabama. Thunder as an old campground actually, Thunder Mountain
I've
campground.
heard of that,
Yeah, they ended up buying this old like legendary Boy Scouts campground.
Oh, wow.
They're buying it out and redoing it all and putting even more campgrounds and land, and they're gonna do that with more of them across the country. So they're starting with that one, gonna get it going within 6 months, and then they're gonna take it off of the road because their daughter also had like autism, and it turned out with the whole traveling and all this helped with her too to start speaking it. She was nonverbal. And she started speaking because of traveling. She started learning all this stuff, getting hands-on education, learning things, meeting people, like
Right.
constant change. And they always tell them like kids with autism don't change like that. And it's like, no, screw that. We're gonna go against the grain. Turned out it worked.
Yeah,
And
that's
that was the greatest story. Like it brought them stronger together than ever, and they made something great, huge of it. And that's kind of like we did. Like we were having other things too, but that's actually no matter what. At the end of the day, I see it as we ultimately got stronger together and made the business more successful than ever, really, too, because of that.
And
I say
that's-
we grow as people. I say we both
Yeah.
grew as people in this because it's not an easy lifestyle. I mean, we're like painting it as like it's a really wonderful picturesque kind of living, but it's not. You know, I mean, like it's you know, you're on your own.
Independent all the time. You gotta deal with charging. How are you gonna where you gonna stay? Park, filling the water, emptying tanks. You know, the way to do compost. You gotta deal with the household stuff that not normal house always has because you're plugged into the city. So you gotta be independent about it.
Yeah, there's things that you wouldn't think about.
Yeah.
That would come up.
You gotta be clever, efficient.
So I think like we both grew as people on this journey, trying to traveling and meeting new people and seeing United States and what's different outside of California or outside of major cities.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. Like just interacting with different
cultures.
Backgrounds of people, different cultures, different like states, different scenarios, and you're constantly having to ad hoc and figure stuff out. And at the same time, you're running into people with like probably sometimes drastic perspectives on life and with their own experiences, and then it's forcing anybody that travel. I always tell anybody, like, you never lose your money in traveling. Like if you actually go out and you actually meet people and see how they live and talk to them, and at the same time like be open-minded enough to hear people's values, or not their values but their opinions on certain things, whether you agree with it or not. I know we kind of talked about this at Angel Fire. It's like a lot of our society nowadays is it's so polarizing, and people just forgot how to agree to disagree, you know what I mean? And just allow people to have their opinions, and with anything, I mean, and at the same time be able to kind of challenge your own belief systems or like ideas, and then just at the very least understand where someone's coming from, and not necessarily just be like, no, this is my way, fuck you, blah blah blah.
Take something away from it.
Take something away from it. At the very least, to be like, I get what you're saying, but I still don't see it that way. But just be like, all right, cool, and just mutual respect.
But it's good to understand how your type of people think. Now I understand where that process, that thought comes from, so I can see that opinion now.
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking about growing as people, not just having to figure stuff out for each other, but also through the conversations that you guys have with just random strangers. And I'm pretty sure you guys meet people that are, I mean, because you're all in it together, right? In that sense, like when you're in an RV, you guys depend on each other for some reason. Like for a lot of times, like, hey, this broke, you guys can I borrow something, and you're forced to like humble yourselves in some one way or another, as opposed to living in a house where you're just kind of like, I'll figure it out on my own, And I thought it was fascinating about that couple too, that you said their daughter had autism.
The RV Odd Squad.
I wonder like if that has to do with minimizing distractions. Does that make sense? Like when you're in a house and
the stimulation, with autism,
overstimulation of technology and TV and all this stuff. It thinks for you, and you can't think for yourself. So I wonder if just with nature itself, and we kind of talked about that, and then these different environments, and then being forced into conversation like we're doing right now. Because I find that a lot of kids nowadays, they don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
They don't know how to talk one-on-one
or navigate a conversation even.
Yeah, or they just kind of like it's like one word answers. It's like, is that it?
Yeah, they're just like
elaborate a little bit. Yeah, but and I'm not. It's just an observation is all. It's not like talking shit about anybody. But I'm glad you guys are, and I met you guys through obviously through the Dirt Every project, but at the same time like you guys went down there, met us, Sandy, and we got good conversations, and then now we're here. You know what I mean? We met in Mexico. You guys went to Palestine.
Palestine. Palestine.
Is it Palestine?
Is it Palestine?
They didn't go to Palestine. They didn't drive to Palestine.
We would love to go though.
Isn't that the same?
They need to get a boat first and cross.
Get across the ferry. Just bearing straight. Just gotta wait for it to freeze over. We'll cross it.
Speaking back on the traveling, I met a traveling salesman, and I never thought I was ever going to meet one. You know what I mean? Because you see it on TV, you never thought you're going to meet a traveling salesman. Yeah, I met one in my neighborhood in California. And I was home alone. It's just so funny. I happened to be home alone, and he rang our doorbell, and I went there, and he was selling some spray, and apparently like he sharpied my concrete and he sprayed it, and he's like, look, it comes right off, and he's like making jokes and stuff. I don't know if you ever seen the comedian salesman on YouTube when he's like making jokes.
No.
It's kind of similar to that one. I don't know. We'll show you later after, but it's kind of similar to that. And he told me that that one of the best. He said that somebody told him that one of the best educations you can get is traveling around and meeting new people.
Yeah.
He said because it's equivalent to a college degree, and I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Going door to door, meeting new people, and traveling. And I was like, he said it's the best. It's better than a college education, and it's true because you meet new people and they have different ideas. Like we just met somebody We just stayed with him. Like we do something called Boondockers Welcome, and you could stay in people's homes. Like they allow you, for free and stuff.
In their driveway or their farm or whatever. They have a big lot for you to park in.
Yeah, or a donation, for hookups and stuff. And he used to work for Arco back in California, and they were trying to buy.
What is Arco?
The gas station.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a petrol company, and they try to make an oil rig or mill. Or
Wasn't the refinery?
they were trying to pump oil outside of the ocean in California, and they're trying to get the
station.
permits, and they're trying to get approval to do it. And California said, no, we don't want that. We don't want you here. Yeah, they built it already, and they just needed approval and the certificates to work and operate and bring people in. And they said, no, we're not doing it. So that's why gas in California is so expensive, because they don't have any of it.
We're relying on. We don't want your gas. Get the fuck out of here. That was their exact answer.
It's like fracking. They don't like fracking over there. So
even though they are doing it over there.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, are you serious? I'm like, they said, it was Santa Barbara County of all people, and they just said, no, we don't want your gas, get your fucking money out of here.
But he sued him.
Yeah, he sued him for a $27 million plant. They already built, all they needed was just a permit to say, okay, here's your workers for occupancy. There's a permit for occupancy. You cannot open a building until you have it. They denied it, which is against Constitution right there, so. But that just goes to show what that state is entirely against, the growth of anything, of any business. They just want to stump you. Nope.
Yeah, I'm like, you have to go through the wickets and get grease palms and stuff.
Yeah, we were looking that's funny because they got the oil plant right there in Torrance. You got 100 of them right off our coast, not even a mile away. We staring at them when we're at the beach, ruining our sight. Yeah. And then you're pumping in the middle of our apartment right here in LA, in everyone's backyard. Right. I'm like, you're saying you don't want our oil, or you don't want dependency, you're gonna get it from everyone else. It was like. What?
There's a website that even before I bought, because I wanted to buy land here in Texas, but that's one of the things I started doing prior to buying land, was looking at all the fracking sites. And but I was like, I went just of course around the country. I was like, what? California has them? Like in LA, right outside LA and stuff.
Oh, your backyard.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're looking at a 7-Eleven, you just hear a boom, boom, boom from across the 7-Eleven, just smelling it. I'm like, it's toxic gas to a lot of people. So right there in the middle of the city, it's like, really, that's your deal. And they claim eminent domain on people's property. If they find out you have it, they eminent domain you, and they just gonna put the pump right there. No matter how many houses around you.
Yeah, now there's also ways that they can go under your property without their approval.
Drill sideways.
On your land, they can just drill sideways. Yeah,
it's scandalous.
It's pretty bananas. And kind of jacked up because the way it ruins water supplies.
And that's why I didn't want to get into housing too. That was the whole reason was California against buying specifically even there was the whole everything they do there. Like you will never own your house there. People don't realize in that state, it's not, we don't even own that state.
Well, a lot of places are like that. Like even any property you buy, like you go through the contract, it states on there like if there's any minerals or anything on the property, then you're not you don't have rights to it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's kind of fucked up because I read that.
You're buying the property, you do. That's your land.
But it's the idea, right? I own it.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, we don't own shit.
Exactly.
When we die, we don't.
We're stewards of the planet.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's just the idea of owning something, and some people get fixated on that. Fine print. It's like, do I really own it? Maybe Rockefeller stuff like that. They own the shit, but truly own it. But anyways, but having said all that. You guys kind of did the same thing. You guys saw something, and then you kind of went all in. And then I thought it was pretty amazing that I don't know if you guys can see this, but they make these custom make all these bags, and it's pretty sweet. They got a little. I mean, you guys can talk about it. I'm not going to do it justice, but if you guys want to talk about y'all setup and everything, how you guys plan for to sew all the bags and stuff like that.
Oh, we sew them in our trailer. Yeah, we have an industrial machine. We sew in our trailer, all made out of American-made Cordura. It has waterproof zippers. We use paracord, and you can choose the liners. You can. We have a huge customization website where you can add patches. You can change the colors of the sides, even down to the stitching. So we allow full customization of the bag. We allow you to allow the liners. The stitching on it, this is green stitching, this is black or red, maroon, and then it even has a patch on it, so we can fully customize it, put your name, any kind of design.
Is that sewn in or is it?
Yep,
okay.
Sewn in.
Sewn on the face.
And it just hangs on your handlebar, and you have it stylish. I mean, why would you want any other bag if you can customize it, right?
No, yeah, that'd be badass.
Very penny fair, might as well make personal.
Really nice, and they can also do them in the frame of the bike.
So it's just the bar.
Some that were pretty nice.
Yeah, it's just the bar bag. So we do them from anything and everything. not just bike packing, the big thing right now, but ideally what it got started as was honestly just commuter, utilitarian, just to get around. And then bike packing started becoming the big thing, and we started obviously getting in on that, and the whole industry came because of the gravel bike, so that definitely pushed it even further and expanded it. But ultimately, like, that's where it all came down to, was just a full circle of, like I said, like the oil, we didn't want to be part of the problem, we want to be part of the solution. So we're like, okay, well, we don't want to be part of here and that and paying that, so we're like, how can we be part of a solution? Let's change lives. How? On the road with the business, inspire people, show them like there's more ways, like, how do you say it? Bring better quality of life with the simplicity of even just in writing. I mean, it goes further. We make bags for anything, everything. I make backpacks too, wallets, whatever. But even when it came down to writing, like what started was when I ripped my shoulder. I could no longer get anything from my back because I had no movement. I have a hole from missing tendons here. So I was like, uh-oh. Huh?
How'd you rip your shoulder?
Working out.
Yeah.
Lifting too much.
You can have a spotter. Get a spotter. You know, safety first, guys.
Yeah.
Never used spotters like ever. Yeah.
Like pull-ups or?
No, I was doing bench press, but I went in. I was already tired and like kind of sore, but I was like, ah, screw it. And I didn't warm up either, so I was like, I'll just get a few in. So I just went in straight in, like, it was like 215 or something. That was my warm up. I usually warmed up like 185. That was fine. I was usually like 165 pounds, so that was like normal. But I was like, I'll be fine today. I was like, and like a third of my hair, poof, it just loud pop through my earphones. I'm like, what was that noise? And like my arm was gone. I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah, so that was a shit show. So that's how it started, was destroyed my shoulder and I couldn't no longer get around. So I was like, uh-oh. So I saw one in the bike shop that I was working at, this little even tinier version, but I got it and I was like, hey, it's convenient. And I started like, hey, this kind of helps to ride, but I didn't like the concept. They had crappy materials, poorly made. It wasn't, couldn't really access it while I was riding and stuff. So I was like, maybe I can make something out of this. Saw what he did. Went to Michael's, started playing around. I got my sewing machine, and that's where it started from there. And then here we are on the trailer. So by that time, she already developed the website, figured out the coding, started doing the customization options. We got getting more crazy with the customization, and then started looking like what worked for us. Mostly I designed it mostly like around what I liked, what worked for me, what would constantly work for my style of riding, because obviously everyone's different when they're designing, especially all companies and the bags. It's either for what everybody has or what's hot on the market. And I was like, nah, screw them both. I want what I want. I want what I need. So it started with that, and that's like came out with the paracords was the big thing. Like I like being popping and styling, just a little thing I've always had as a kid, just like personalizing things. So I always started making it flashy, but then little things like the paracord were the biggest things that set me apart. That I liked our design function actually was for when it's on the bike, you can sit there no matter if you have a flat bar or drop bar, you can just grab it right there and you can hand it with just one hand with your finger and then pull the zipper either which way with just a finger by holding the paracord. And that actually helped with torn shoulder. That was like, that's a night change different, because other than that they have, a little flap there. You gotta hold it and while you're riding, I'm like, I almost ate crap so many times on that. I'm like, I need something better than this. So that's what it all started with. And then she came up with the patch idea later on, and that ended up taking off. That was a really good one. She figured all that out, the coding, learned how to digitalize it.
Do you want me to take over?
Yeah.
I was like, you passing it on to me?
Yeah.
Is that you passing it on? You're like, what are you gonna talk
I'll
about?
let you say on your part on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, there's all the, like, I've seen people put patches on their bags, and he has patches on his arms and shoulders. He loved patches, and he was always asking me, like, when I first thought about making patches, he's like, ooh, start with the Mandalorian. So I started messing with that, and then trying to figure it out. So I learned on my own, like watching YouTube, so I'm certified. Patch certified expert.
She learned everything from it. You'd be surprised. It is.
You can learn. I remember when someone said that YouTube is free education. And it is.
I see YouTube as the poor man's version of you ever seen The Matrix? That's probably a dumb question, but where they upload information to them, like via serial cable or whatever. It's long form, but that's how I view it.
I like that concept.
And it's like, so you watch it. And I'm more of a visual / tactile learner, so I just watch videos, and that's how I pick up a lot of stuff. I remember I was changing out the suspension on my Mazda, and I walked into the hobby shop on base, and I was like, yeah, dude, like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna change out my suspension. They're like, do you know what you're doing? I was like, I watched a YouTube video. They just looked at me, but it took me like 6 to 8 hours, but I was done and out. I got there early in the morning, but no, for real, and it's another, if you think about it, and I've told people this as well, but it's like if you watch the right information, it can enrich you. But if you watch shit information, it can make you, like, I don't want to say a shit person, but it doesn't make you as, you know, versatile, I guess, you know. And maybe in other forms in the sense of conversation, but if you watch like the right things, you can definitely learn and get an education based off of that. Just not in the traditional way of education, but more so in the
As long as someone explains it just right.
functional way. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch. I mean, there's college lectures on there. I used to listen to them. You know, like I listened to a lot of health lectures and stuff like that. That's how I learned mostly, because I'm also a nurse. That's how I started. Before I met him, I was a nurse, and I was working, and I was really pushing on that career. You know, I was really pushing, you know, being a nurse. I was always watching like lectures, learning so much about the body, the human body, how it processes. So I mean, and I just got inspired by that, you know. And I used to fix my own things at home, and just someone has the information, they pass it on. Yeah. And I thought that was beautiful. You know, people pass on information.
And that's what this, like, that's one of the purposes for this my platform or this podcast, is to talk about ideas and, you know, information, and just kind of share with those listening, and just like not change the perspective, but just give people a different perspective by different people I have on and talk about it.
Yeah.
And my own curiosity of like how people, or like you guys specifically, like how you guys came to be and where you kind of guys are going with that. But yeah, I do the same thing. I watch a lot of things about the human body, physiology, or like I listen to a lot of podcasts. So Andrew Huberman's a big one. I listen to some Joe Rogan. I love a lot of the guests he has on, like the experts, and it's just a various, like, array of different people, and to like, so I can learn, you know, because I don't know everything. I still don't know everything.
Yeah, you know, and it's really cool because I'm pretty sure those people who make those videos are like really like they're like passing on information, and I'm pretty sure people get inspired just by watching them.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, we see a lot of bag makers. It's not, you know, it's not normal. I mean, it's not abnormal for people to start up businesses, especially since 2020. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs are popping up, but a lot of them are like inspired by us and kind of mimicking us a little bit and trying to take, you know, our creative sides. And I was, you know, and it's like we decided to come up, you know, we came up with our own thing, how we can stand out.
Right.
You know, and we decided to, you know, add patches. I wanted to learn how to do that, and I did it. You know, and he decided to do different designs, and we wanted to just stand out. You know, and that's all we were doing, was being ourselves and standing out and showing our, you know, our talents, and trying to make people like get inspired to go outside and, you know, venture out there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and take your stuff with you. You know, take what you need. And
what's today's the constant thing? Phone, keys, wallet. You cannot really leave your house without them. Usually, especially when in the metropolis area, it's always the main thing, and it's always they're complaining of, oh, I can't write except with this. Or so I was like, well, there's a solution. No more complaints. It's just too easy. Just throw it all in. You'd be surprised how many people seriously start riding bikes more just because of a bag.
Right.
It just changed their game of all. It's like, oh wait, I could actually carry my water. Like some, you know, old or just different style bikes don't even have water bottle cages on them, because like the beach cruiser stuff like that, and they're like have nowhere to do it, and they're like, oh no, like, oh, I got a bag now. I can ride my bike. Why can I ride more miles? Like I've seen people get crazy ecstatic over just the snack caddy I make. And I was like, wow, like I said, like the quality of life changes people. Riding a bike, it's something simple, or not just that. Like I said, anything, we make a bag for anything, but you know, say name it, hiking, backpacking, whatever.
Right.
Chalk bags, same thing. Like the simplicity of what one item can bring value to a life, and especially when someone personally makes it versus, you know, machine print out something. It's something personal, person to person, and that's the ultimate. Well, human used to value more. You know, like this showed people what value was to each other. I value your product, and I want you to exist more than I value this money, and vice versa.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like going back to the old like bartering system, you know, which is probably inefficient in the eyes of modern day economics, but at the end of the day, I mean, not the end of the day, but before it offered a fair trade, you know, like
gave people more power and freedom.
I don't like I know we need money, but for me, like, I've never liked the idea of money.
Me too.
Especially more recent as I go older.
yeah, seriously,
It's just like, it's so like
demoralizing.
yeah, it's just like there's not, like, I don't know, it's kind of like gross, you know what I mean? I'm gonna give you this for that. And
It's
not
gross to
personal.
see how far people are willing to go for it.
What they'll do for it,
And
how they
what they'll
treat
do
other
for
people
it.
for it, or how they prefer it over people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that's
How
your,
they
that's your
sabotage
family
people
member, bro.
for
That's your
it.
brother. Really? You're gonna jack him like that over $100?
That's what I was telling people. I'm like, if I could, I would give these, we would give them away for free.
We do,
You know?
man. Like the event, like we told you, like the prize, like we started just giving a bunch of way to prizes just because people had a miserable day. Like some people were just showing up, were like, oh, I got second. Do I win anything? I'm like, you got a pretty hot shitty day at 75 miler. You second, pick a bag. You got one. Just because you asked. And I know how miserable it was. I'm like, And like they said, like they didn't have any prizes for some of the other ones, so I was like, we did as much as we could, and I was like, I didn't care about the profits at that point. I was like, everyone be happy, just as long as they had a good experience.
At the end of the day, like the game is, we need money to kind of get what we need to buy, so
Exactly.
we kind of understand. But if we could go back to that, to a certain extent, I love the idea of that. You know what I mean? It's just like working for something. Like I make something, I give you something, you give me something that I need, and
well, change starts with us, right? Because we started doing that. I mean, we traded labor and work for.
We do it a lot, actually.
For the exchange, artist to artist. We got our sticker there. I don't know if you can see it from Ben Cantwell.
Oh yeah, he's a great artist.
Yeah, so we traded him for some tool rolls, and he gave us that artwork for us. And we're starting doing that like recently with anything we can do. Like if we
handlebars too.
Yeah, if we can exchange bags for stuff, I'm like, we're gonna do it. We don't need to exchange money. We could take money out of it.
Yeah, I know. It's like somebody recently was not recently. Let's say like last year. It was something like small. It was like something like a part of the bike for the seat collar. And they were like, hey, they're like, well, I'll just give it to you. I'm like, I don't want to just take it. I was like, how about I go help you with something or do something for you, and then I'll earn it.
I want to feel like I earn it.
You know what I mean? I want to feel like I earn it. Like I don't want, and I don't know, with the idea of money, like I get it. I understand like the system. I understand the game. I get all that. But at this end of the day, I wish it wasn't like that. And you're right. It does start with us. And it seems like we talked about currency and all this stuff. In Angel Fire, and. It may go back to that one day, but at the very least, we can maybe start mimicking that and then start that change. But
I mean, we're gonna try. I'm gonna try like to get property for for something. Anybody wants a full set of bags, a full set, give us some land. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll take 20 acres for this.
Never know. Almost just got. You know what? I need this property off my hands. Whatever. It's cool.
Yeah. So one of the things that I know you also do, you're also a bike mechanic, right? You kind of went into that a little bit. You did that prior to.
I was working in the bike shop. Yeah, I was working for InCycle in SoCal. So I was the suspension tech for all 5 of the shops, doing all the suspension work for them, and then also mechanicking. So I was certified in Shimano and SRAM and Rock Chalk and all that. And
that's one of the things you do, right? When you go like to some of these races, and that.
I just do it for free when I go to the races. I just do it to help support, just because they usually have like a mold mechanic and like Velo meets people show up and they charge and all that stuff. But I just throw my tools out there and bam, anyone wants to buy, here you go. I'll fix it for you. Just like that's like mostly the bags, what we do, and that I just do it just to help. I like helping. I don't, like I said. Yeah, I've always been like that as a child. Like I never liked money. To me as a child, I can't stand it. Like my family would make fun of me as a child. Like, oh, money burns a hole in your pocket. I'm like, no, I just value my life and the experiences it gives me more than I value the money. That's just what's always been. Like, I hate it. I just like giving. To me, it's about giving and creating. That's all I like doing. Just helping people out, helping build a community, helping build people up. Just creating things. Just feel like a creator.
No, I mean, I didn't really start creating anything until I got out of the military. I mean, I kind of started it in the sense of, going through different, I kind of talked about this before, but going through like different programs, to deal with my stuff or whatever. And like one of the basic things they teach you is like, like you kind of see the movies stuff, like art therapy, like they get you drawing. But really what it did for me was it highlighted like the idea that, that, because it's not something at least I did like since I was a kid, you know what I mean? Like you're drawing or coloring or whatever, and then like fast forward, X amount of years, and then you're doing it again, and it's like you start realizing like, even though like you're going through whatever, it's like in this moment, like I'm drawing or creating or you're doing whatever, even though it may look like shit in my opinion, but at the same time it's like there's something that kind of happens within your brain and within your spirit that like you're kind of creating something. And then I kind of started, they do the pottery thing, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And I was like, what else can I create, And I kind of just started that idea, and it started, like, when I got out, I was kind of like grasping at things. One of the things was a mountain bike. I just want to go I talked about this before, but I want to go purchase a bike, which I've spent the most money ever spent. I spent the most money ever at that time on a bike, and it was pretty absurd, but at the same time, it was like one of the best investments because it connected me to a community, which is mountain biking, and in the sense of like I don't know, just that forward momentum. There's a lot of science to this, like being in nature and all these things. So it kind of like pushed me further, in the sense of addressing like stuff I was dealing with, and I'm pretty sure like that's why Jonathan started the program, because of all the positive things that comes from that. Fast forward, I bought a GoPro, started video editing, just like, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm doing this now. What's my purpose behind it? And it just kind of steamrolls, and it's through me being inspired by, you were talking about you guys inspired. That's probably not your goal, but that's probably a positive side effect of it. And that's kind of what happened to me, like watching like Seth Spy Hacks, and I'm like, man, maybe, let me see what I could do, you know what I mean? Just started messing around with stuff, and like slowly but surely, I was like, damn, this is pretty cool, And then learning more about the programs. I know you talked about that, like starting to get in like video editing and stuff like that. So how's that going?
I put some videos out there, I'm
nice.
still doing that. I'm not doing YouTube yet. I'm still figuring that part out. It's just being on camera. Like right here I could be on camera. It's just like shooting it on myself. I don't know if it's like I'm the biggest critic for myself. But yeah, I started doing that. I mean, like, it's not a bad thing that we're inspiring other people, especially to start up their own bag making business and stuff. It's just showing that we're doing something right. And we're not shy against competition or anything. We want someone to motivate us. Keep it going, keep it interesting. But it's just inspiring other people to get creative out there. It doesn't have to necessarily be bags. You can draw. We draw too. We draw. We show our adventures with videos. We try to show our as much as we can on Instagram. Our Instagram is like the biggest thing. I've been trying to post on TikTok too.
I've seen a couple of your videos on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm not on TikTok. Like, I have an account, but I just never post on there.
Yeah.
But
I stopped posting. I forget about it. It's just so hard to manage everything, especially when we're just a 2-person operation on the road. And it's still like we have work-life balance to do and figure out.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, we're kind of terrible, but we're doing better now because we're starting
better.
to like really say like, okay, we're having too much, we're too much stress. Let's go for a ride. Like riding. Before I met him, I got into riding with him when we met, so it helped me because I was a nurse. I was working 60 hours because I had a goal. I had a goal and mindset. Money. Like obviously the world's run by money. So I'm just almost killing myself working 60 hours a week. Back-to-back days, going in at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. And I was like getting depressed. I was getting depressed. Same walls. You see the same people every single day, the same stories. You don't hear anything different. You're like, how was your day? I didn't do anything yesterday. Yeah, I know. I saw you like 2 days ago.
Right.
There's nothing changes. I saw you 2 days ago, or I saw you a day ago. Nothing's really gonna change.
And that negativity like transfers. It's not like intentional that they're doing it, but if you're like in this perpetual like negative state
cycle,
you start absorbing that. Like us as humans, I don't think a lot of us are aware. Like I was talking about information. Like if you watch like I don't know like reality TV all day, eventually your worldview is going to change in the way you feel and stuff. And I don't think a lot of people consider that, but like as case in point, you kind of see that all day, every day, and it just kind of starts affecting you. But then it sounds like you found like a balance.
I did find a balance. I quit. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's just like you're right, because there was negativity going around. I hear my coworkers, their problems, and it's just like no one has any like forward movement, I guess, and everybody's like stalemate. So you're not really getting growth. And they say too, like you get growth when you move every 2 years. When you move careers, or you move, go up or change jobs every 2 years, you learn a lot better. And for me, I was like, it's time. I was like, I found cycling to help a lot, so I started taking more days off. And I said, I'm not gonna I'm gonna go for a ride. And I had to push myself, honestly, because I had to find time to ride with him. So I would just go right after work. If I went at 2 a.m, I would get out like at 3.
Right.
So I would just go for a ride with him, like a 60-miler or whatever we can do.
At 3 a.m?
No, afternoon.
Damn.
So I go at 2 a.m, get off at 3 because it's a 12-hour shift.
Gotcha.
And so I would go at 3 p.m. Yeah, we did 4 a.m. We did like if we were doing centuries and stuff, we do 4 a.m.
4 a.m. wake up, go to a century.
Yeah.
That's
Takes all day.
And you guys do that on a road bike, or do you guys
Gravel.
Technically gravel. Yeah, our gravel gravel. Mine's gravel, yours touring, but
mine's
gravel touring
touring.
steel frames. But we just stuck with those because they're just the most. I saw it was the future when I was at the shop. I was like, road cycling is dead. I see where this is going. So they're the ultimate solution to everything. They're a multi-purpose bike. It's got almost everything the road geometry has. You fit the road narrow tires if you want to go narrow, or you get as fat as you want and go comfortable and have more capabilities, more off-roading. The frame itself can take a bigger beating, than any of the road bikes. You know, those things eventually, from all that hard rattle, it's full rigid, so that vibration eventually takes the damage to the frame and wears it down faster technically than something that's meant to beat down. So like, that's the best way to go. So she ended up getting rid of her actually carbon bike, and she's just stuck with the Breezer ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's what she did, and that's a heavy bike. It's not light either. It's technically a touring bike.
Yeah, my
It's
first
heavy.
bike was a Specialized Ruby carbon. I didn't know what a carbon meant, you know, back then. I was like, carbon? Okay, I know the element and stuff, and I was like, I don't know what it means. And it's apparently supposed to be light, you know, I mean, like, and it's supposed to be fast, and he says, like, it's like top dollar and stuff like that, so I got it, and it's a lot of fun, though, because he took me on the dirt first instead of, like, the road and stuff. He took me in the dirt, and I didn't know how to use the drops. I didn't know how to do anything, so it's like, get over your fear right there and then, you know, but I didn't like the carbon too much, and when I found the steel, it felt real. You know, it felt heavy. It felt like it was more glued to the ground more.
Right.
You know, I felt like with the carbon, I didn't feel safe because it's so light. You know,
walking around a toy.
Yeah, it didn't feel real. You know,
it's probably not as stable because especially it's a hardtail, right?
No, it was a gravel bike.
Oh, it was a gravel bike?
It was a
Yeah.
road bike.
So you're probably...
It was a road. I thought it was road gravel.
It was the beginning of it. It was 2016, 17.
It was
It
a
was
road
the start
bike.
of it. It was the Ruby before they made the Diverge.
It's
It
hard to
just
stay-
made everything
it's hard to
wider.
stay on the line because you're getting like jostled around.
It was on 28s.
And what's cool too is like when
30s.
I would stop riding it. I fell in love with my Breezer, the steel, and I remember seeing roadies, like there was like construction on the greenway or on the bikeway, and the roadies like got off to like walk around it, and I was just went in the dirt and the sand. I was like, whoa, see you later. You know, and I think that's like so cool. I was really happy I never got a road bike, you know, because they didn't want to do that. You know, they hopped off and like walked across it, and I was just went around the side. And I was like, I would never want a road bike because I can't go off on the dirt. You know, if you see a dirt path or a dirt roads in front of you, you're like, I hope I don't get a flat.
Right. I don't want to, like me personally, I don't feel comfortable on the roads here or anywhere really. It's just like trusting people and knowing as people like are distracted. And there's been I think at least in the last 3 years, at least 3 people that I know, not that I know, I knew one of them, but I just met them like once. But at least 3 people that died from getting hit by a car, like here, and it's like in Boston when we're there, like it's more ingrained in the culture. Maybe California too. I'm not really sure.
Well, that was the big complaint there. That's why I saw the future going like gravel was going to be it, because every roadie was the same thing. Like they didn't want mountain bike, and they were complaining about the cars. My friends got hit cars. Like, and sure enough, at Cali's worse. You see everyone you come to a stop sign, they're just while braking. I'm just like, you're not even looking at the light or me. I'm like, I'm in front of you, dude. Now people get rear-ended all the time just because they're texting. Oh, it's bad there.
So
bad.
that's like one of the things I'm sketched out about riding on the road. If I am on the road, like transitioning to like another path or something, I'm constantly like looking, my head's on the swivel. Well, that's cool. You say you started riding in 2018-ish, around there? It's about when I started riding. I almost sold my hardtail because when I was going to get it, but I couldn't. I'm glad I kept it. You know,
keep
just
it.
Because,
it's good to always have an alternative.
It's definitely good to have 2 bikes, but at the same time, it's just I don't know. I love it. You know, I love going from the full suspension back to hardtail because it kind of keeps you honest. You know, and then going back to the full suspension, you're like, damn, this is nice. So you can kind of go back and forth, kind of keep your skills. One of the new things I want to try though is I don't know if I want to go clipless, but I'm gonna try those Magnum pedals.
I heard of those. They're interesting.
Yeah. So Miguel, remember from the trip? He had some. He was like, "Hey man, if you want them, you know, I got some too."
Well, you got those?
Yeah. So I'm gonna try those, but then I gotta get like different shoes and then the piece. So I'm kind of sketched out because I like to kick my foot off if I need like.
Those are gonna be similar. It's gonna replicate it, but without having to worry about the clipping out issue. Because you can't really get out freely like that. You have to literally know good, technique to clip out every time.
I think people eat shit on like this, but I know you guys are like a lot more experienced in like what you were at clipless, right? I know you guys needed it at South Boundary. You probably needed it at South Boundary.
It helped.
Yeah, it did help. Yeah.
Especially
it helps all the time. It helps all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I just haven't shifted to that yet.
It gives you more torque. It gives you more torque, I think. Because honestly, if I was riding with my buddy at the gravel challenge, and he was on flat pedals in one by, you know what I mean? And these are like rolling hills, like. Rolling hills.
All you're doing is stomping.
Yeah, he was doing and he was on flat pedals, and I was like, oh man, my feet are glued. So if I feel I'm tired, I just have to just turn my legs, to rotate my legs, and it's pulling it already. You know, I don't have to have any like strength or in it.
So
straight to the torque.
You're able to use different muscles.
Yeah, you're giving a break every time. It's pull, push, and you create like a circular motion while so you're like the best way my buddy explained it at the shop was he's a trainer for his team. He's an ex-pro racer, and he says it's like scraping dog shit off your shoes. It's how it should be feeling while you're pedaling. And I was like, and we had explained that. I'm like, let me try that. And sure enough, like when you do it literally that way, like you do that thing in motion, you feel the whole just cycle motion. You feel the different muscles that you're supposed to be using. And at first, they're gonna get tired obviously fast. You're not used to it compared to what you're normally used to when you're doing it. Because when you first start off, you're gonna have that stomping habit no matter what until you learn that you can actually kind of scrape your feet by, and you notice to start using your calves more to pull your quads, hamstrings. So it makes it a lot funner. But the only time you get sketched is like the jumping. But for the rest of it, honestly, it's pretty dominant. It's gonna make your riding a lot better, your exercise a lot better, your techniquing a lot better.
I was thinking about you like start using them like to get ready for like racing, because I want to do the entire Southern Enduro Series next year. I didn't really do too much racing this year, so I take some time off because I wanted to really work on like the burns and the turns and stuff like that. Because I noticed like watching the videos, one of the benefits of recording is you watch it and you're like, I could have took that turn faster, or I didn't drop my stuff down, not my stuff, but the bike down. So like I'm just kind of taking these cues and I'm trying to apply them as when I ride regularly. And I try to like focus on my breathing. I don't know, we talked about that, like nasal breathing and like the benefits of that, like first gear, third gear, first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and like it helps like just like if you have problems with anxiety or anything like that, like just breathing through your nose. It's crazy how it just brings your heart rate down, and just focus on that. And it's something so simple, but if you would have told me this like 10 years ago, I'd be like, you're full of shit.
You're done, bro. I need air. I need air.
So like it's crazy like when you kind of address all these little things, how they just like make a huge difference within everything in life. But I mean, you don't know until you
try it.
Watch YouTube video and watch an expert that's talking about it, or Instagram. You follow the right people on Instagram and try to learn.
Or you just experience it.
Or you just experience
Gotta
it.
try
You know
it.
what I mean?
Gotta try
There's
it.
There's some information that it's unexplainable why you know it. You know what I mean? We call that intuition.
Yeah,
Can't explain it.
Yeah, it's intuition. You automatically know.
Yeah.
You know what the right path is.
I try to like on Instagram. That's one of the things I kind of like sprinkle in is talking about intuition, like. Because I don't know how many times, and this is very basic, I'm pretty sure something anybody listening to this can probably be like, yeah, that's happened to me. You ever been like kind of thinking about somebody and then they call you, or vice versa, you think about them, you're like,
premonition.
Yeah, and
precognition.
Like, oh shit, I was just thinking about you. And there's something to that, you know what I mean? And if you think about entanglement theory, like how we're all connected, there's sciences.
The hive mind.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something to that, so if we can kind of pay attention to it more and kind of feed that, then we become, it's like a muscle, you get better at it. And I think it's definitely something that humans, has always had, but, again, we talked about distractions and being on the phone and
getting disconnected.
For us, getting disconnected. It's ironic, right?
Frequency, radio, hertz
we're
going
actually
on.
getting disconnected.
Yeah, so frequency, the radio, cell phones, all this stuff going to the air, that affects our feelers, our antennas, everything, how we absorb it all.
Yeah,
that affects it.
Field, and there's science to that too.
But it is a good point though. We're supposed to be getting more connected, but it's making us disconnected.
Yeah.
It's like separating us. It's taking out that middleman. Like we don't have to see each other.
Yeah. And you think even like a step further, like Fitbits and stuff like that. That's teaching you how to not pay attention to your body.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, it's the data is telling me how much I can sleep, but I know people, and I used to be this way too. I love technology. I used to love going to Best Buy and looking at all the gadgets and stuff. But then obviously when you start doing your own thinking, then you kind of have time to separate from technology, like going on a bike ride or a hike or just exploring or
getting reconnected with nature.
Yeah, you're getting reconnected with nature. You get pulled out of that matrix, if you will, that world, and then you kind of start thinking about things from a different perspective or having conversations with people like yourself, and you're just like, oh shit, I am starting, this is now starting to think for me, and it's subtly taking away, your awareness of your own body and then putting it in the hands of somebody else. And
dependency.
Yeah,
we want dependency. Take away from our own independence and to know what we're capable of.
Yeah.
We're capable of so much more than people understand. Like what you're saying, those senses. Technically, if you actually do really good research, you can find out. We technically have 8 senses. We're not 5. That's a lie.
Yeah.
It's 8. That one's one of them, the precognition.
Yeah.
They make fun of it like Spider-Man. Every human has that.
Yeah.
Same thing with the hive mind. It's technically a telekinetic thing that we all once had much greater. That's what the pineal gland was for. That's how we connected psychically.
Yeah.
We still have it. We just don't know how to use it.
Yeah, and it's all through history too. Like, you know, there's pictures of it.
Mhm.
It's in
No, I mean
literature.
you know how to use it.
You know what I'm saying? We don't.
No,
people are
no,
forgetting how to use it.
People are not taught
Yeah.
how to use it. Not only that, but it like the food that we eat, the
Food.
water that we drink, it
Calcifies,
all, yeah, it
ruins it.
calcifies what
Yeah.
we're supposed to be doing. You know,
It's
because
like a different type of interference.
Yeah.
For more physical.
Heavy metals in our body
Yeah.
weighing us down.
And if you think about it, we had to develop those senses like for primal instincts,
Mhm.
right? Like to be in nature, we had to be acute, like for predators.
That's why our hairs stand up on the back of our neck.
Hairs
It's
stand
actually a
up.
precognition sense. It's a
Yeah.
sixth sense, not a random thing.
Yeah.
We have 8.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
So,
I
yeah,
think-
it is pretty crazy.
I think back then they used to have children go outside and actually look at plants, you know, and get connected with nature and understand herbs and stuff. And then slowly just started just taking us out of there and just slowly just putting us in classrooms. And,
Yeah, like
you
in
know,
the grocery stores.
reading books, yeah, and just putting us in
Dude,
grocery stores. We don't know how to forage anymore, you know, on our
Yeah.
own. We don't know how to plant or garden.
And now I'm having to go. Not to say like my parents didn't know any better, and it's just this. Like, but now I'm trying to go back and look at YouTube videos of how to forage, what to eat, what not to eat.
That's what we're looking
How
at
to
too,
plant,
yeah.
how to
Yeah.
plant, when to plant.
Yeah.
Survival. I mean, pretty
Cycle
much.
of life.
I mean, that's what we learned mostly on the road is survival.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what bond us together. I mean, you grow as individuals and you grow together through, you know, your journey and
Experiences.
through surviving and on
Yeah.
your own. You know, you're self-sufficient. That's the whole point of living is you see how much water you're consuming, how much water you're wasting. You see how much you're consuming on gas and how much you're doing, how much your body's eliminating outside because you have to do your own sewage. You got to do everything yourself.
Yeah, and then you have a finite amount. You have to be aware of how much water.
Gotta carry it.
As opposed to like an endless, you know, not so
Nice to have a
I live in
spigot.
house, so it's like an endless amount of water. And even then I'm aware of it. Like I you know, I didn't used to be able to just leave the water on while I'm doing stuff. And now I'm a little bit more aware of it. I'm not saying I'm perfect because sometimes like today I left it on. And I was like, shit, I go turn it off. But it's like when you're living on the road, you're having to factor those things in, like
Constantly.
you know, how much water do we have, how much food do we have, you know, what's the nearest, you know, whatever to refuel.
Propane.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating, and that's cool that you guys are starting to become aware of your surroundings a little bit more because you have to be, as opposed to somebody that never even asked the question and it lives in a world of convenience, and they're not even. Like they don't even know how to sit alone without a device in their hand. You know what I mean? Like
Sit a lot.
boredom isn't even a word. Boredom is not even like, and that's necessary to reset. You know, like to sit there and kind of just like allow your brain to do nothing because it's like resetting. It's like sleep, and you don't have those things, and you just get oversaturated with information, and then you got all these other things, anxiety, depression, and all those things that kind of factor into it. But yeah, man, like that's pretty crazy.
That's what helped me. That's what helped me in nursing. You know what I mean? It's getting me outside, basically. It's getting more sunlight, getting the exercise I need, getting the serotonin, getting my endorphins going, and that actually helps with. That's why I see John. That's why when I was looking at, I was looking for nonprofits because. Obviously, you know, we were. If you don't know us, like you do know us beforehand,
Right.
but we came out as coming forward with our mental illnesses, and you know we both suffer from PTSD,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
so we were very honest about that. At one point, we're like, okay, this we're feeling a lot of stress, you know, and there's a lot of we have to take it back and you know realize we were working too much, we were just really in the trailer all the time, not really going for rides, and we're trying to figure out life. You know, it wasn't a very easy picture. I mean, it wasn't easy life, you know, like or easy journey for us. We really found ourselves more.
Gotta learn it too.
Yeah,
right?
it was a learning
No
curve.
matter how many YouTube videos you watch.
But
or
being
people,
uncomfortable
learning
is
it
what
is
makes
still-
people grow.
Right.
You know, going outside your comfort zone really.
Struggle is necessary.
Yeah, struggle.
Getting that giant ass trailer in the most craziest sketch plays we gotta do, or I get into a parking lot I'm not supposed to be in. I'm like, shit, how do I get out of this situation? And like again, like it goes back in hand with like life experience put us where we at. Like everything we do happens for a reason. Like it's not thing. We don't believe in coincidences. So like we said, like everything what came down to, I'd rather have the experiences, the money, I'd rather have, same thing she said, go a new job every so often to learn more things, and that's what I always did too. Like I never really liked staying in one place. I literally go from every job. If you name a job, I pretty much had it. And one of them was machine driving. I loved working on rigs or driving around forklifts and like every machinery in a warehouse.
Yeah.
So all that reverse steering has seriously come in like the most craziest
no
handy,
kidding.
and all the GTA playing on Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I used to love playing that as a kid. And now when they had like big rigs on there and you can go drive cars onto it and then drive the big rig around
Yeah.
and practice that way, it's just I used to play around, just get bored, and like all the missions are done. I'm like, I'm playing the big rig today. And just
Yeah.
started driving then and learning how to do that. And sure enough,
Yeah.
oh my God, like that's kind of some crazy stuff.
That's why, I remember right before I was about to get out, there was like a panel. They had a bunch of like senior NCOs sitting on the panel. I was sitting on the panel, and there was a airman leadership school, I think, and so we had all the new airmen asking us questions, right? And of course, a lot of the, not for nothing, I mean, they gave their answers. They're good answers. Like, they were like, education, blah, blah, blah. And it got to me. And I was just like, if there's anything I've learned is like, don't ever say that that's not my job. It's like one that kind of makes you look like an asshole, like you're not there for the mission. But more so than that, you're sacrificing an experience that could help you later on.
Mm-hmm.
So try to, especially on deployments, try to learn everything they're trying to teach you. And if it's not your job, like figure it out. Figure out a way to do it because it's going to teach you something later. So don't ever just say it's not my job. Like, figure it out and just try to work with it and just like try to learn that experience. Because when you get out of the military, let's say you do 4 or 6 or 20, whatever, you're still going to have those experiences to carry forward and whatever with your family or whatever. And I don't know, that's what I said. It wasn't the traditional answer, but in the sense it was like, no, like that's kind of what helped me. Like I heard people saying that and they would like try to like walk away. They'll get their ass ringing, of course, but at the same time I was like, well, we're here, let's try to figure it out. I ain't got shit else to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my thing. So my point to you is like, that's cool that you took that like, let's go try to figure it out. No, that's what I tell my kids too. So I know one of the things you talked about earlier was dog packing.
Oh yeah, we have a dog.
I wouldn't know what you were talking about until I saw it on the last trip. Yeah, I actually have a video of it with you and Klaus in the back, just going over the ridge. That's pretty badass. Yeah, he took that and he dropped it to me. So what's that about?
Well, I've always loved dogs. Always had dogs, but we originally had another one, Vincent. He used to take him on a backpack with me all the time on bike rides. He was a small little 11-pound terrier, so a lot lighter and easier. But then we always wanted a bigger dog, so he wanted a friend for him. But long story short, at the same time, we ended up seeing also someone else called Mira Lapera on YouTube, or on Instagram and YouTube actually. And there's this guy named John and Mira. It's a Canadian dude who bike packs.
I was going to say, is he French?
No, he's Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah, he's a Canadian guy. And one of our friends, Ryan, met him actually in Baja, and how we found out about him on one of his videos. And they were bike packing. Apparently this guy, all he does, like, he has basically has a business he runs, so there's no issue. So all he does is like pretty much goes out for like 9 months to a year at a time and just goes out bike packing the entire, pretty much world really, but he mostly does like Canada to South America, and then if he has to go home, he'll fly home and then go back and continue it again, and he's always doing it with his dog, which is a border collie, on this really big surly trucker extended bike with a basket. And we're just like, Vincent going in the backpack, when he gets his friend, he's going in that. I was like, oh, this is possible, we can have more. So that's kind of where it started, and we ended up getting Niklaus, and so that's the next thing is we're training him pretty much to do our bike packing with us, because we were always doing bike packing, but then we always had our dogs with us, so the next thing was going to be backpacking with a dog, a new fun experience for everybody's.
Cool. So like, what are you guys training for? Like, where is that at? Is like the was it Appalachian Trail, or like what are you guys training?
Any of them, all of them that we pretty much come across. Right now we're just training them to pretty much learn the biking, the trailing, see what we can do, conditioning, and then we're gonna get a bike built for him that's gonna have a little carriage somewhere, depending. He likes riding on the handlebars, so we gotta figure out something, a front solution. He does not like the baskets of any nature. He hates the back, hates the front, wants to be with me on handlebars. I'm like, I gotta figure out some kind of bike solution for that. So we have to build him a bike. So it's gonna be for when he gets tired, he can go on there on the bike pack trips. But we want to definitely do, probably at some point would be cool to do the Great Divide with him, straight from Canada to the Mexico border. Yeah, we'll start small.
I would like to do that with Lotus, but I think she'd be like sandbagging behind. I mean, I don't know until I know, but I do feel like, talking about intuition earlier, like I do feel like she is meant to be with me on these trips and stuff. But I think a lot of it is just like I don't know what. I won't know until I take her on one, if she'll stay with me, because I try to do it on these trails, and then she'll like lag behind, or like she starts smelling stuff. And in my mind, if I'm on a bike packing trip, we got time, you know, we got points that we need to stop at. Like let's say we're gonna do 75 miles today or 100, whatever. Then you got to factor all those things in, and maybe I just need to reframe how I'm thinking about it, because she's a little big to throw in a backpack. She's like 50 pounds.
He was gonna be that size, but you can't have to run in the group. So I got a little bit lucky now, but he's still 30. It kills my back.
You got a compact size, yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out, but
I would say take her on, keep training her on those rides, you know, before you take her out, because then she will sandbag you for sure. Because that's why he does, like, you saw him. He did like 13 miles or 12 miles. He's not even supposed to do that. He wanted to, you know, or like. We have to get by, you know, and he's fussing in the backpack, so we just let him run.
Yeah, he hates it. He wants to run.
No,
if we don't take him, or at least let him chase us on the bike, he will do that many miles around the trailer all day long. Like, this dog is a ridiculous amount of energy. And after that, you saw him that night. He was still up to like 12 o'clock that night playing with everybody and trying to get attention. Like, he just has energy. We're just like, what is wrong, dude?
I saw that.
Oh my God.
Like, Lotus is like that, but she's not, like, I don't know. Maybe I just haven't, like, challenged her enough. Like, because she knows, like, maybe because we're here, and she knows, like, home's, like, right there.
Yeah.
So
she's like, I'm
she's just not used to it. She's not used to it. She's got to train her, condition her. She's a little bit overweight, so she is going to have to get used to the conditioning and be pushing herself. So she can tell she's definitely the lazy type right now. So she takes her time, wants to do something. Train her,
She stays up with me on the leash.
Yeah, that's what I did with that one. If you saw the one I have, I made like a 10-foot leash out of rope, and I put a notch in certain areas with it with the hook, so I can wrap it around my waist, and then I have a 6-foot leash, and then I can throw it around me one more time and hook it, and have about a 3-foot leash, and then he stays right next to me.
I have like a waistband, and then I bring it in when I need to, and it's not 10 foot, but it's a good amount. Maybe I'll just start doing that.
Yeah, and then if you want to start, we may start with first was one of the guys we met at the gravel event this weekend. Was telling us about what he does with his dog and wants to train him too. We might do it together. There's a small, was it here in Texas? He said about the 7-miler one. There's one. He said it's called the. I have to get the name. I'll text him after it. I'll get it. It's like a small one that goes, you could do the big version or there's a small one, but basically what he said was there's basically a campground every 7 miles. So if someone can't keep up or do it, there's at least always a spot where they can stop. So it don't matter if it takes you all day to get to it. There's one about every 7 miles or so you can do it with dogs and train them on those ones. Because every dog can guarantee at least do that by the end of the day. And we know he does that in one run. He does 5 miles on a bike ride with us. So I was like,
let me know that. I want to, because I think she's meant for that, but at the same time, maybe I just haven't pushed her enough. Because I used to check her on the trail since she was a pup. So but my mistake, like, it was just my mistake. I just kind of let her chase the deer because that's how she would get all her energy out. But I think if I can start training her, because she's really smart and she's really, like, aware, and I just need to start doing it. But
she's cattle dogs. They're intelligent breeder.
Yeah, she's super smart.
She'll figure it out.
She's training me. Right. So what are your upcoming trips? Like, did you guys got planned? Like, is there anything big, like races or anything you guys got going on?
For next year, we're doing El Camino again, you know, because we want to hop out again. And see if we can get more people. See if we can get you on a gravel bike. What do you think? You can come on
I don't
a
have a gravel bike. But
no, could we get you on one?
I'm pretty sure you can get me on
yeah,
a
you
gravel
think
bike.
you can? Have you ever done, like, what's the longest mileage? Like 35 or?
Maybe like 28.
28?
Yeah.
Would you? Yeah.
I know I could go further. It's usually I have time on my, like, I usually have to come back for something or to go somewhere. Because I know I've done more on races, like, you know, like hiking the bikes and all kinds of stuff. But I'm pretty sure I could do it. I think I have the endurance for it.
Absolutely.
You would enjoy it. You would enjoy it, like a gravel. Like, would you enjoy, like, the drops?
Like the rigid, you know? I don't know. I would try it. I mean, I'm down to try it. I just don't know. I'm gonna sound like I'm, like, trying to get out of it, but I mean, it all depends, because usually, like, during the races, like, my neck stiffens up and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure we can find ways around that. But yeah, my whole shoulders hurt, like, by mile, like, 60, and that's when it starts hurting. I have to do, like, stretches and
That's normal.
Oh, so you just stretch when you're on the bike?
Yeah, that's just normal from holding yourself up. But you with the gravel bike, it's comes a lot more personalized than, like, the mountain bike, because it's such a mobile thing and the suspension, everything's moving.
Yeah.
You can't really get a fixed position, especially since you're not clipped in as well. So nothing's ever consistent. Nothing will ever be the same. So the efficiency is not going to be there. But with the gravel bike, everything's so customizable. You literally have to make it to your comfort.
Right.
So, you'll shorten the stem, the grips, everything about it will be to where it stops hurting. And you can be there for longer hours. So, like I said, you just do 28 on a mountain bike. That means you can clear easily 60 milers on a gravel. And you're going to be going faster. On that bike, you're going to be doing 15 to 20 miles per hour regularly on average with skinnier tires.
And the reason why I asked and I brought it up is because while I was racing, I mean, there was mountain bikers there, they were doing the race and they're doing 100 miles with me, and they dusted
I think
me.
if I'm on the right bike, I can do 100 miles easy. But it's just, I mean, obviously I run like 2.4, 2.5 in the front,
That's fact.
2.35 on the back, 2.4. So.
But like I said, there was mountain bikers there, like one was on full suspension and he dusted me. He dusted me. I tried to keep on their tail and they were like, they dropped me.
There.
Yeah, they dropped me. And I was like, wow. And I was amazed.
I
have a video of it. I will post it on Instagram. But yeah, they were like, I was going to ask, I was like, people do it on their hardtails. You can do it on your hardtail if you want it.
There's some beasts out there. Like there's one guy, like did a cyclocross race. And there was some guys out there just like fucking like smoking people on mountain bikes and people are on cyclocross bikes. And it was a short course, but still, man, you could just tell. And they weren't even like tired afterwards. I was just like, and I did it on my mountain bike, and I finished the whole thing. And there was obstacles and stuff, and I was pretty beat because I haven't like pedaled that consistently for that much speed for that long, and I had fat tires. I'm making excuses, but whatever. It was a good experience though, and I'm open to the idea to do it. Of course, I've never been on one, so I'm always open to try just about anything.
I was like, you probably do it. Just get skinnier tires next year, and you can do the communal gravel challenge with us.
Do it on hardtail actually.
Yeah.
No,
if anything, just put little drag bars.
Yeah, and I just got to get new wheels and smaller tires.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try it. Like. What gravel tires? What are they like? 2.1, 2.1?
It depends what you do. Like if you run what's your mountain bike? A 650B?
The hardtail is
650B?
Yeah.
What is the
29er?
No, the 650B, and what are they on there right now? Do you have 2.4s?
Oh, 2.5 in the front, 2.35 on the back.
And what kind of rims?
The
30 mil or?
The front one is 35, and the rear is 30.
So you're running fat profile tires?
Well, it's
fat
a
rims?
stock wheel that came.
Yeah, you're running fat rims.
2.8s.
Technically, if you wanted to, you can run that. Just put 2.0s on it. It'd be safe. Yeah, you can go with 2.0s on there, and you can run that thing like a gravel bike. Because that's what I do. Like
that fat of a wheel.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay.
Because I have 25s on mine. She has 29s on hers, and I put 47s on hers. So it gives a nice, good beef wall, but they're solid. They got no flex, so they're really strong and rigid for like the crazy stuff. Because that's what I did anyway. So my Sequoia before I even had a mountain bike, I was doing everything. I was like, that's why I love the bike. I said it's a multi-purpose bike. It could do everything, and it took a beating from hell. And because the geometry is more relaxed, more adventurous than the road bike, it could put you in that more comfortable back position where you can lean back and get back like a mountain bike, and I'm also more upright when I'm on it. So I'd put 650B by 2.2s on that thing. It clears it, and it's basically a mountain bike. It's a 90s mountain bike. And I'm over here doing freaking rock gardens and all the crazy rugged shit, and I'm doing it with 25 WTBs because they're solid 32 spokes. And I got, same for her, I did the ASIMs on her 29s. I went wider on hers just to give her more, make sure she wouldn't beat that one up.
Is your gravel bike, is it rigid or is it suspension?
No, full steel with carbon fork.
They barely came out with like a hard, like French suspension gravel
doing
bikes.
it now. So RockShox's making the XLR, I think they're calling it. It's like a 30 millimeter fork. It's kind of stupid, honestly. It's 30 millimeters. You're dragging around 2 extra pounds in front for 30 mils of travel. I'm like, dude, carbon fiber weighs honestly half a pound for the fork, maybe a pound if it's a bad company.
Right.
But the carbon fiber, the way what it's doing is, if you ever look at it on the slow motion camera, besides the material already absorbing a lot of vibration, they flex. If people are surprised, they flex up to about 20 millimeters. Dude, those things can go, and that's giving you cushion play. So I mean, hand in hand there, I was like, that kind of defeats the purpose. That's like the other one that came out that's kind of like funny to me was who was it? Niner made this one called the Magic Carpet Ride, a full suspension gravel bike with it's like. It was like 80 mil travel front and rear. I'm like, dude, it's a freaking mountain bike. It's like, what you guys are just doing. It weighs like 35 pounds. I'm like, the whole point of a gravel bike was to be a lightweight, reliable, super reliable, rigid bike that does it all. I'm like,
I just don't
You just went
understand what
back
kind
now.
of trails they're planning on doing. Like, are they planning on
Yeah, I
mountain
was
bike
like,
trails with it? Because I understand like there's a difference between mountain biking and gravel since we do both.
Right.
You know, and I feel like mountain biking is like a roller coaster. You know, you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in a gravel bike, you're just like on a ride. You know, you're just
Yeah.
like on a journey, like on a venture. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're just in a face like maybe like roads here and there, and you're just facing your mind mostly. You can just get in the zone and like meditate almost. And I feel like
Yeah.
I asked my buddy my battle buddy, I call him battle buddy because
Yeah.
we did it together. And I asked him, I was like, what do you think about when you're doing this? And he's like, I try not to think at all. he's like, I try not to think about my pain. He's like, I don't really want to think
Try
about.
not to die.
And I was like, well, maybe that's what you need to face. You know, I was like, you need to be in your
Right.
mind and face all those problems and see what you can do
Good
and you can get
analogy.
out of there. And his uncle made it perfectly. And they said, like, because he rides long miles, and we did the longest mile with him. We did 145 with him. And they said, why do you ride so much? Like, someone asked him, why do you ride so much? And he's like, it's cheaper than therapy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I'm thinking about the pricing. I'm like, oh, shit. I don't know. No, yeah, I get it. Yeah, and it's definitely, it definitely is that, like, in, like, you know, physical therapy and all kinds of different things. And then,
Well, I mean, I understand, you know, it's either sitting down with somebody and talk about your problems.
or you
and-
could, like, ride.
Or you could ride a bike,
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
process
about
all
it
those
and feel the
things.
pain.
By yourself, you
Yeah.
know, really sit in your mind and really, you know, unless someone's there or unless you're, you know, someone's there talking to you and, you know, you guys are talking together, talking about life, you know, because
Yeah.
he and I talked about life. We talked about family. We talked about the journey, not our pain, you know, what we're going to feel like afterwards and stuff. And, you know, we talked about spiritual things, you know, we talked about the law of one and stuff like that. So it's like, it's really refreshing because you never experience like that.
Yeah,
you know?
no,
Bonding
definitely.
experience.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've found, especially like, you know, with the Dirt Therapy Project, or just in general with the writing, it puts people in a place that they're a little bit more vulnerable in that sense, and they're more willing to talk about certain things.
Group therapy.
Yeah, and it's not even like with the intention of that.
No, they
It
didn't
just
realize
happens,
it.
you
Yeah, a
know?
lot of people start just opening up on their little
Yeah.
rides. Like I
Yeah.
got a lot of that happen too. Like our group rides on Sunday, some guy starts talking about some things that bothered him for like 20 years and never talked about,
Yeah.
or some guy start telling him it's usually with the wife, but this and that. And it was like,
Yeah.
like you'd be surprised. Like some of the military, like
And you
people
can't
don't have that
cry.
kind of cohesion, but
Yeah.
people that have never had military experience to understand the cohesion. Cycling brings that too to them,
Yeah.
and it gives
It's
them
like-
that therapy
it's
for
like
men.
the ultimate icebreaker.
Mhm.
And it's just people, and plus you're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not that. I don't think it's. I think it's a lot of that. Like, when people are writing, they're thinking about it, and as soon as they have an opportunity or a window, they just kind of just you know diarrhea of the mouth, you know, but in a good way, and they process a lot of those things without even realizing it, and before you know it's too late, but they're actually probably grateful that they said it, or whatever it is that they're dealing with. But
Yeah, it's moving your energy.
Yeah,
basically,
it is.
basically. Like that's
It
what
is.
people need to do. Like movement is key. You know, with your body, anything. You don't have to just ride a bike. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
can do anything. You know, you can just dance. You know, just release your energy
Swim.
in any way you can. You know, otherwise.
exactly. Like that's why you know, Native Americans and various tribes, they used to send like you know, I think it was mainly men at the time, but I think some of them did women, where they went on this, like I think in Africa, somewhere in Africa, they used to send boys out to hunt a lion, you know, with just a
13 years
spear.
old, sending
Yeah.
out spirit for manhood.
Yeah, and then so there was always these ventures that they had to go on to find themselves, but that's what a lot of it was. It was like a rite of passage, and we've lost that. You know,
Same thing with the Trojans. They all did it.
This rite of passage now is maybe like having an alcoholic drink, or maybe getting a driver license or something. But even that, it's so superficial.
And that's why like we like these challenges, you know, because before I'm gonna use him because you know I just spent so much time with him, you know, during the ride, and it taught me so much that he said that the reason why he was doing it, and he's never done a huge mileage before. He just signed up for the 100. And he's like, I'm gonna do it. You know, he's like the longest ride he's ever done was 60 miles, and he was like, I'm gonna do the 100 today, you know, and he says, and I was like, why? What came over you to do it? And he said because he wanted to show his son that he can do hard things too,
Badass.
you know.
Oh, what a beautiful answer.
And that's one of the reasons, like, I started, like, it was like to, I mean, he probably doesn't know this, but it's also to show my kids, like, because he plays football and then they were playing sports, but in my mind, it's like, if I'm going to tell you to do something, I need to show you that I'm willing to do something similar or just as hard, if not harder. So I kind of picked up mountain biking, and I really bought into it, and then I just started progressing more and more, and by default, without even realizing it, they started, not they, but I remember I talked to him recently, and he just kind of brought up like the idea that, like he remembers when I first started when I was riding, and now I'm like racing, like often, and I've improved. He saw how I like improved so much, and he was telling me. I mean, he didn't really tell me, but I think he was trying to roundabout tell me that like he was gonna quit playing football. I think in 7th grade, but I would constantly tell him just finish it. Just finish finish the season or whatever. But like, don't focus on being great right now. Get better each time, each opportunity. Like, whether it's your skill work, your footwork, whatever, like constantly do that. And then over time, at the end of the day, it's still going to teach you how to work hard. And even if you don't make the pros like you want, you still will get something that will benefit you in everything you do. Like that work ethic that, whether it's riding a bike or, I don't know, putting up a wall or whatever. Because you know what it's like to start from nothing and then progress to that point.
Succeed.
And he's improved a shit ton. I helped him as far as I could, and then he started working with somebody else, and he's gotten a lot better within the short time when he started, which he started playing 7th grade. He's in 9th grade now, and he's definitely shown a lot of improvement.
Nice.
But that's my point is that it's that, you know what I mean? It's like, because I see a lot of, and I'm going to be judgmental again, but I see a lot of parents that are like talking shit on the field and stuff, and like, run and all this stuff. Like, motherfucker, like, you run, like, I know you can't run around this fucking, like, so my point is lead by example, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be yelling at your kid all these things, then you should be able to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Lead by example, you know what I mean? At the very basis of it, that's what it is, lead by example. Like, don't just be armchair quarterback talking shit.
Or give up. You don't want to leave like what ifs. At least
Yeah.
attempt it. At least
Yeah,
attempt.
at least try. You know
Yeah,
what I
at
mean?
least like the worst that can happen is like you
fail, and you fail at first initial launch. It's okay.
No, you
Take
just
2
don't have a
steps
good
forward, one step
time or
back.
something, but you learn
Yeah.
something out of it.
At least you tried it. You know what I mean?
At least you
And-
tried. You learned that it wasn't for you, or something that you need to work on. I
Yeah.
think like negatives, we should reprogram our own minds to see like what we can change.
Look for the positive in
look for
everything.
the positive
Yeah.
in everything.
And that's what again, and I bring it back to my kids, but that's what I tell them. Like my job is to give you as many experiences as possible, so you could figure out what you like and what you don't like. So when you go out into the world, you actually have a breadth of experience that you can pull from. Like, well, I know I kind of don't like this, but I know I like this, and then I also try to like take them, like travel to Germany and Florida, like all these different places, like so they can have these experiences and these different cultures. And I would always make them like try different foods, because I was like, because I remember when I first joined, I would like, I mean, I had no choice. You go to a different country, you have to eat whatever it is. But I remember like that under like seeing the food and kind of having like, you know what I mean? Like, because I was so used to my, whether it be just Mexican diet that we had, or just McDonald's or whatever it is, fast food I ate at the time. So my palate was very limited, and I didn't want to have that, because you lose so much. You talk about travel, you talk about like, the benefits. It's also the same with food. You limit yourself on what could be like great, and you won't even know it because you never tried it. So anyway.
Yeah, same here. I went to like, he's never been. I don't know if you've ever been outside the country, but I have. I went to Europe. I tried the cuisine there, and I had to, the market was different. I had to figure it out. You think like everybody, because we went to a small town. Everybody in the big cities in Europe know English, because they're used to tourists. And when you go to the small towns, like they're not used to it, and they're like, "What did you say?" Because they don't practice it. They don't get that many tourists.
They expect you to like speak their language.
Yeah,
which makes sense, because like we expect that of other people coming to our country.
But they had like different things, like they had like a vending machine out there, and they had horse meat, like a horse sausage.
Were you in France?
No, I was in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Dutch love horse meat apparently. No, I'm just kidding.
I heard it's sweet. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Yeah, I tried it. It was sweet.
yeah,
It's sweet. It's
Texas.
weird. It's weird. Yeah, I tried it over there because he's like, you have to try it. And I was like, okay. And I was a vegetarian for 8 years beforehand. I was already transitioned to eating meat by then. But I decided to like to chase everything. Try new experiences. Like that's how I got to Europe. Is like telling my friend asked me, and I was like, no, I can't. And then I was like, forget it, I'm gonna do it, you know. So I went like out of my way to get my passport and everything like that, and get all my papers and stuff. And I forgot, like it was like in 2 weeks or so. So I forgot how to pack. I never traveled before outside of that, and that's what sparked my traveling. You know, it's because I took myself outside of my comfort zone. I was like, I'll go on a plane for the first time and go to Europe by myself, you know, and meet my friend there.
Yeah.
So I met her at the airport.
Yeah, so just like traveling, that experience is like if you've never been in an airport, then like passport, you have to go through customs, and
it's a whole new
scary,
experience.
especially your first time, you know what I mean? And it's just, so all those experiences, like may seem trivial at the time, but or not maybe trivial, but for you, but for most people that have traveled, but if you've never done it, and it like fast forward, like somebody's like say 60 years old and they've never, so they have all that fear and anxiety around traveling. But it's not really that big of a deal if you just do it and you learn that experience. Or
Same here, like when we went bike packing, like everyone was telling me, oh, you're gonna go travel on your bike. What happens if you get hit by a car? You know, what happens if you get robbed? What happens if you run out of food and stuff like that? People are just telling you all these things. Yeah, and they're like telling you, and you're like trying to like psych your mind out of it, and you're like trying to block them out, like no, nothing, you know. And you go there in your mind, and you're like seeing these cars like fly by you on the highway, and you like go through your mind like, oh, please don't hit me, you know, and stuff like that, you know. But it was like after a while, you get used to it, you know. After a while, you just like take all that.
People love to do that shit, don't they?
Yeah, they love to tell you like not to do things, and then you have to
tell you how to live.
Yeah, and then but we experienced. Like when I went out there, I came back and they're like, "You didn't get hurt. You didn't get hit by a car." I was like, "No, dude. Like you have to understand that you have to go out there and see that the world is actually really beautiful. You know, and you actually meet really good people, and you know, like it forced me outside of my comfort zone, really, honestly, because I slept on rocks the first night. I was uncomfortable. You know, it was cold. We're riding back to back. You know. Back-to-back days with a heavy bike, you know, fully loaded out. You know, we have canned food. We had to figure out, you know, what to route, and cars are flying by, and you're like a little worried. But after a while, you realize no one really wants to hurt you. You know, there's more good people out there than bad people. You know, even people, they wave at you. They want to know where your travels are like. They're like, where are you going? Where, you know, how long have you been doing this? They're getting inspired by it. You know, and when one time we were about to go into this freeway, and this on this route, and it was apparently like the freeway. We're like a dangerous highway, right? And this guy pulled
probably
over,
had no shoulder. And like, hey, Google says we can go there.
I was really nervous, and I was like doing like, please save me, you know. And as we're going up, some guy's like, hey, and he pulled over right behind me, and I was like, hey, he was already going up ahead, and I was like, I'm going to turn around to this guy, and he was like, where are you going? And I was like, he's like, are you guys going to go up this way? And he goes, we were like, yeah, and he goes, you don't want to go this way. He goes, it's a really narrow shoulder. He goes, there's just hardly any shoulder there. And he goes, it's really dangerous, dude. I don't want you guys to go that way. And he showed us a different route to go. And he helped us out. And I was like, see, like people like
Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
To the back way instead of the highway.
And again, it's that community, right? The bikers, you're like looking out for each other. So many people like are willing to help you just because you ride a bike, because they ride a bike too. And yeah.
And then it's like a community. Like it forces you to talk to people. Like I don't like you can't hide in a car and like ignore people and stuff like that. You're on a bike.
It brought this like mountain biking, not this, but mountain biking brought me to the point where I wanted to do something like this. You know what I mean? Because it brought me out of my comfort zone and made me kind of come out of my shell. Because like when you're traveling, deploying, or whatever, like the Air Force is different from other branches where they send you on your own. You know, like you deploy on your own. It's strange sometimes for commercial into like, you know, airports and stuff like from other countries and stuff. It's sketchy as shit. One time they were trying to make me spend the night at the airport and really fucking me. Anyways, so my point is like you didn't go in a unit, so like a lot of times, anytime I went anywhere, I had to be real cognizant of who I was around. You know, like put like my backpack around my ankle and stuff, so like somebody didn't take it. I couldn't really sleep. Can't really still sleep in airplanes, and it's just because you're always having to have your head on a swivel. So I was like that around people too. When I got out, like I wasn't really talking with people. I would kind of just like I'm friendly, like if you talk to me, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to go talk to you. And I'm still kind of like that. But the more and more I rode, and the more and more I kind of experienced like these other, like, you know, people within the same community, or like I don't want to say just mountain biking, but like hikers, anybody like that hangs out in nature.
Outdoorsmen.
They're a lot more friendly.
Down to earth.
Because they're down to earth, like literally.
Literally. They're on earth. Getting around it.
Climbing on the earth and everything. But they just have this different like energy around them, as opposed to somebody. And if you think about it, like somebody that's always inside. Unfortunately, I'm gonna bring it back to like dogs. And I don't mean dog, but more than like if you never take a dog like out of its kennel and you all constantly leave them there, they become aggressive, they become
Depressed.
they become all these things that because it's not in their nature to do that.
Mhm.
Same thing with a person. If you keep a person indoors or the person stays indoors and not ever around people, they forget and like how to interact and be social. And we're social beings by nature, so we're doing a lot of things that is against our nature, and then we become aggressive as well. So having said all that, you take a person that's constantly like behind a computer or what have you in their own home and they're comfortable there, and you take somebody that's constantly like challenging themselves in nature and like doing hard things, but they're also getting the benefits of nature, like being out in the green, grass and leaves,
The oxygen. There's more oxygen.
Dirty.
It's like a different. I'm like, if you ever notice when you go from the trailhead right into the woods, you can feel like a difference. Like there's like a little bit more humidity. You can feel like the nature, like once you become more aware of it, as opposed to like and vice versa. So if you're constantly in a home, and you don't have that exposure, then there's the negative sides of that as well. You're comfortable, but you're not used to being challenged or being in discomfort. So my point is that I don't know where I'm going with it, but I think as guys where I'm going with it is just like it's just people are more willing to talk to you and vice versa. And I think that's what pulled me out of it. Is I would just go to work, do whatever, and then go back to my room, and then or whatever in deployments I would just do work, whatever. But at the airports it was constant like looking around and making sure like I was be on the lookout, whatever. And I kind of became in that nature, but when I started writing, it took me out of that. And now I'm able to do these things, communicate with you guys, have open conversations and stuff like that. And yeah, so
because it took you outside of your comfort
Yeah,
zone, you know what I
exactly.
mean? And it took you outside of that
Yeah.
element. It took you outside of your shell, and you had to communicate with people out there. Like if they ask you, like, "Hey, man, do you have an extra? You have an
right,
extra
yeah, and
tube?"
then you get humbled because
Yeah.
you have to learn to ask for things, and you're not used to that.
I need help. Can you help me change this
Yeah.
flat? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I haven't had to change my flat, but there has been like I bent my derailleur hanger or something. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. It's just not shifting right. And me, it has to almost have to be working perfectly because it not bothers the shit out of me. Like there's a clanging or something. But anyways, that's a whole different subject. But my point is yeah, there is a lot of benefits to it. I know there's been research studies that talked about like they took people that were recovering from a surgery, same surgery. They put them like in just a room like this, no, it's just all no windows. And they took people that had the same surgery, put them in another room, but they had windows like with trees
Sunlight,
and stuff, sunlight.
View.
And the people that were exposed to nature and through windows healed quicker than the people that were not. Yeah, so there's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
So-
scientific facts and
Yeah.
scientific proof behind it. You know what I mean? If people really need
Yeah.
that proof, other than going out there and feeling it for themselves.
Exactly. And I got a buddy that, man, this dude's badass. He's older. He's probably like in his 70s, and he went through pancreatic cancer, stage 4.
Whoa.
Had surgery and all kinds of stuff. But he kept writing during chemo and stuff like that, which is amazing on its own. And I really do feel. I mean, he's been in what's it called when they're out of remission. He's been in remission for a couple of years now, and when he went to like a group page and he found other people, then like the numbers weren't good, and people not like after remission they were like dying or whatever. It was pretty, but he was the anomaly. He went out one riding. I know him and I went on hikes sometimes, especially when I broke my head. I was like, because I wanted to heal quicker, and I read those studies or saw the studies, and I was like, there's something to it. So I know it's just a broken bone, but I'm like, I want to heal quicker because I want to get back on the bike. And that's what I was doing. I was going on hikes, stayed out there, and we went. But I really do feel that that's one of the reasons why he's been able to recover so quickly, because he stayed in nature. He stayed doing the things he loved, what brought him joy, and there's something to that.
Definitely something
Yeah,
to
and
it.
I'm pretty sure you've seen similar stuff like that in your career field.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of similar things like that. I mean, honestly, if we, what my patients mainly why I didn't. I love my job. Don't get me wrong. I love my job, but I mean, there's a tendency where you're trying to help people and you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too old, and I'm already on this thing. I don't have much to live, and you're like, you get depressed, you get sad because you can't motivate people. You know what I mean? So I wanted to get outside of that career field and try to motivate people to be healthier and avoid them from getting into, because I specialize in dialysis. So I wanted to avoid them getting into those chairs, you know, and I was
Right.
telling them, you know, sit outside, the sun heals, you know, just sit outside even for 10 minutes, you know, you sit outside in nature, at least it'll just, you know, change your spirit, you know, increase your endorphins and your serotonin, and you'll be a lot happier. You know, there's studies proving
Yeah.
that if you go out into nature, you become a lot happier, you know,
Yeah,
because there's
vitamin D,
oxygen.
yeah.
You get vitamin D. There's oxygen outside, and you know, what trees give off oxygen, and that's what
Yeah.
our bodies need, you know. And I've seen that a lot with, like, I've done hikes before, and I've seen how it opens people, you know, because you
Yeah.
get out there, you see more nature, you know, and you get to experience all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You get, like, on our bikepacking trip, that's why it humbled me too, because it wasn't easy. It was kind of like a boot camp for me. He's been to like regular boot camp, so kind of like with him. With him as an army vet and stuff, it felt
Yeah.
almost like boot camp.
Right.
You know, like we have to do this, we have to go here.
Right.
You know, we
You
have to
figure it out.
Yeah, we have to ride.
Together,
Yeah, you know, so it started to like get into my system, and I started to feel like the earth, you know, the weather starting to change really easily. You know, you start smelling, you know, the flowers, you start getting sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, you start getting more sensitive towards, you know, your surroundings.
Right.
And you get more sensitive towards your intuition.
Right.
You know, you start learning
All
more
those
things.
things are kind of like a systems check that starts coming online.
Yep.
You know, because you're exposed to it. Yeah.
Constantly, you know,
Yeah.
because we were constantly outside facing weather. You know, we would wake up at 4 a.m, ride until like 7 o'clock, so we saw everything. You know,
Yeah.
we saw the earth change. You know, we saw
Sun
the
up, sun down.
sun come up,
the
sun come down.
Circadian rhythm. You know.
Yeah.
Your eyesight, like, you know, like, and that's one thing. Like when people yawn, and that's why other people yawn. Like you guys are probably wanting to yawn now when I said it. But it's because I was reading something. It was like, since we're social beings, like around the campfire, that's how people knew it was time to go to bed. When one person would yawn, and they would all start kind of triggering, and people would get tired.
Interesting.
But it was because they were in key with, like, you know, the
Nature.
natural cycle of nature and
Yeah.
the earth and stuff, and the sun and the moon. You know.
Yeah, you don't need to look at the time and like, oh, I gotta go to bed. I gotta
Yeah.
go to work
They
tomorrow. You know, you just
understood
let your
the
body listen to it, and that's kind of like what we did. We let our bodies listen to, you know, we listened to our bodies and like, oh, we're tired now, let's
Yeah.
rest. We're hungry now, let's eat. You know, it never came. Like, what helped me control like hunger and stuff was fasting. I learned to
Yeah.
fast.
I started doing it, not in a sense, but again, being like comfortable with discomfort.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why, is because I was like, and back in the day, like we didn't always have food, so I wanted to learn how to. I don't like depending on things, so I wanted to learn how to go without food and be okay with it, as opposed to just being like becoming bitchy. You know, that's me. You know, just in the sense of like, oh, I don't have anything, so I'm gonna start acting like a little fucking kid and start.
Hangry.
Because that's how I would get, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. I'm not, you know, trying to be nothing, you know, or something else, but that's how I get. And sometimes I get,
You get irritability.
intentionally- Yeah, I get intentionally. Yeah, and it's just because like you become accustomed to the
Yeah.
convenience of food and, you know, always being able
You're
to have it.
addicted,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's like withdrawals.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're going through withdrawals.
So now I'm like intentionally, I won't eat sometimes throughout the day because I want to learn how to do that. Same thing with water. Like, I know your body, and that's one thing I noticed when I started riding more. Like before, I used to ride with like a 3-liter pack, and I'd go through the whole fucking thing like in an hour or so, and I was like, I need to get more water. But in my mind, I was like, I'm just sweating. And then I would look at people that only had a bottle. I was like, how are they doing with only a bottle? But then it started clicking with me, like your body would just condition over time. So now I did an entire enduro race with a bottle, like a water bottle, in one day. You know, I think I refilled it like, I don't even think no, that's a lie. I refilled it once, but I was barely just drinking out of it like as I went on through the day. But your body will learn how to be without it. It's amazing. You know, organism. I don't want to call it a machine, but it's an amazing like organ. Like we're amazing if we just learn how to
Find our
be-
potential.
Yeah, and be in discomfort and learning what we're truly
Control the
capable of.
mind, really.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now. I'm a fucking slow reader, but it's called Empire of the Summer Moon. It's about Native Americans. The Cherokee.
Heard of it. I think Joe already talked about it.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now, and I was reading about the Comanches.
Yeah, that book,
Bad
okay.
Motherfuckers, but
Uh-huh.
like how, like one of the things I found fascinating was like the way they would get wild horses and get them to submit right away. And it sounds pretty crude, but they would like tie a lasso around it and choke it till it almost died. Or they punch it, or not punch it. No, choke it till it almost died, or they'd hit it and something like that. And they would, right when it was about to die, they would release the noose, and then they would like
blow air in its nose, and then after that, it was just this mutual
Bond.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Interesting.
there's a camaraderie forged when you're both face, you know, something like when you're both facing like a battle together. You know, like
And
whether
I
it's a
think-
mountain bike race or a mountain bike trail like we did.
Yeah, because the suffering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lost Lake, you know, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but Lost Lake, I was talking to Jonathan with that. I was like, what I really enjoyed about Lost Lake was that we all suffered together in our own ways, some more than others. And then we got to the summit, we experienced something beautiful, and then we had the joy of the way down, you know.
And we
then
all
when
became
done-
friends.
And at the end of it, we were just like, me and Jonathan got lost, but we all, like, at the end, we were just like, it was all genuine, you know. We were all like stoked, you know, and just like high-fiving and shit, you know. That was an amazing experience, you know. And
I think that can be like similarly translated to the divorce, you know, like it's like, oh my gosh, you didn't kill me, you know.
yeah, you like, it's almost like you were the one that tried to take my life, but then you gave me breath.
Yeah,
you
and
brought me back to life.
And the same with like group therapy, like you brought me here and I suffered, but I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just that suffering, and like we need to suffer to grow. So yeah, it's it's transformative in a lot of different ways, and I know we kind of touch on a lot of different subjects.
Yeah, I mean, like with that horse, like if the horse didn't know it, it could face death, but it didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like same thing when I go with him. Like I almost felt like I'm like, why the hell did you bring me here, dude? Like
Yeah,
this
you
is
start
crazy.
You're going through like your own process
Yeah,
of anger.
yeah.
Like, you start going to the stages, right?
And I'm like, why would you do this? You know, and it's like, but
Fucking asshole.
yeah, it's like, but
Yeah.
did you die? You know, I was
Yeah.
like, but I didn't die. You know, and I
Yeah.
was like, this is pretty cool. You know, I'm gonna try it
Yeah.
next time. Maybe I won't die then.
And I think Sandy was the same way when she first started riding, but she's like, I've seen her grow so much from just this sport, and she's used to her own discomfort. Like she does a lot of CrossFit and stuff like that, but and like for her to take on a challenge, and I'm pretty sure you can attest to this as well. But like starting riding a bike, and then like the fear of like exposure and like all these different things, and with the rocks and possibly falling. And there's all these things that go through your mind, and then you're not 100% confident on a bike, you know, depending on what stage you're at. So there's a lot of like mental, you know,
Anguish,
obstacles you have to
yeah,
come
yeah.
over, and then once you do it, you're just like, oh my god, I did that. So there's this self-empowerment that you have,
And it forges a bond, you know.
Yeah.
It makes you guys closer together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it can be like translated to the horse. Like pretty much, like he put me in the scenario where I can almost got hurt, but I
Yeah.
didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
But
the
did
same,
you die?
yeah. But did you die? You know?
She
And now-
literally went from 15 miles, 30 miles, 60 miles, 120 miles
yeah.
in that order of rides. It was like 5 rides later.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. You know what I mean? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was challenging, you know, and I faced the challenges. It's like when it's like him like choking me, and he's like, "But did you die though?"
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you felt that you thrill almost, you know, you felt the thrill of almost dying, and now you're not, and you're like,
But
I feel great about myself.
What's interesting about that, a version of you did die.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the old version.
weaker
huh?
you.
The old you.
So I saw, I was like,
suffering.
cool, let's double it.
Yeah. So you just, and then that's what it is. You just keep, you know, pushing that envelope, you know, within reason, and then you're constantly growing and pushing your limits, and you know.
And now I have a bucket list. You know what I mean? Now I have a bucket list of what I want to do, and at the
Bike bucket list.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I told him.
She
I said,
does, she drops me on the climb,
I was
dude.
like,
She's got
I
legs.
was like, cause he used to like laugh at me, and like he would back, you know, he'll come back for me and stuff like that. Cause
Yeah.
he'll be like so far away, and he would like come back for me and do
Yeah.
like double the mileage. And I was like, one day I'm gonna be ahead of you, you know. And I was like,
Yeah.
I just kept that going with me, you know.
No,
I was
she
like, one day
smokes
I'm
me on
gonna.
the climbs now.
I was like,
Seriously,
now
I
I'm gonna
can't
be
keep up
ahead of
with
you
her.
one day.
Yeah.
And that's what pushed me. And
Goat.
now I want to do like all kinds of things now. I'm like, what
Yeah.
else am I capable of? You know what I mean? It's like he pushes you to want to do more, and you're like, what else can we do?
Yeah, it's just like stripping layers of yourself
Uh-huh.
off, and then like exposing like what you truly are.
And it's like getting life badges, you know, like life
Yeah,
skill badges.
exactly.
You know, you're like, I did this, I did that.
Yeah. And then like you kind of go back to your old version of yourself, and then you like think of like how limited you were in your mindset and who you were at that time, and then you progress to this point, you know.
Yeah, I can't believe I was like that. Like, that was
Yeah.
me? Like, oh.
Yeah, it's
You
strange,
realize,
how
like,
that
you're just like,
happens.
You're like, I used to
Gross.
complain about that.
yeah, you're just like, oh,
Now I embrace it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
now
one
I
of,
do
one
that
of the
10
things,
times?
yeah, one of the things like I wanted to start doing was like creating like merit badges, like life merit badges, and like I peed in the forest, I peed outside, you know, and it's like it's not easy, you know. That's something I had to face as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've never like peed outside. I never had a reason to, you know,
Right.
before I went bikepacking with him. Because
Right.
on our bikepacking trip, we went from Portland, Oregon to Santa Monica. just on our bikes. We took the Amtrak up and we went down, or back down to California. And I've never camped before. I never camped before that. I never went on camping trips. I never really spent so much time outside like that, like how to use your restroom. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And it was a hell of a journey, man. It was like, it kind of like, I'm not going to say like it broke me down. It kind of broke me down and like build my layers back up. You know what I mean? And like the whole trip is like me being a certain person and then breaking down and then rising back up.
That was barely 1 year riding.
Yeah.
She just got into riding. I think
And he was telling me too, he was like trying to tell me like ride your bike, train. I was like, I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. She's on your bike. You don't know nothing. Stupid.
And then I learned so much there because it was like survival. It was like an adventure together that we had to really survive. Like trailers so much easier compared to bike packing on like together, And I remember when we were like traveling, like up like on certain hills and stuff. Like I was like, no, we have to stop. You know what I mean? He was like very accommodating and stuff like that. And there were certain points where he's like, you have to take it because I don't feel good. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the lead. And I took that role and I went with like I snapped my brain and I was like, we have to do it. We have to get him there. And it just you just like your adrenaline just like takes over. And you're like, I'll do it. You just don't listen to the pain. You just push yourself. Because you're like, because you're like, I have to. I'm in charge now. I'm the lead. I have to do it. You just take that
care
role.
of your battle, buddy.
Yeah. And it's like that's what we had to do. Like it was like we had to switch off, and we never did that before. And he had to put me in the lead. And there was like he had knee issues, and there was one point where he drank too much beer and pizza, and he felt sick and threw up on my shoe. So I had to take care of him on that. So it was one hell of a journey.
You brought me out here.
It was the chili that definitely got me out of jacked me up.
After a while, I stopped getting angry. No, just kidding. I was like, no, I wasn't too angry about certain things, but it kind of I was like, you're right. I have to like toughen up, and it taught me to like be tough.
It's almost like you're forging yourself through like obstacles and experiences and like no shit. Like we got to do this. If not, we're gonna be fucked.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere. Like we're gonna.
You gotta deal with some experience to teach you the ropes. Versus some people, they have to get in there by themselves. Like Ryan, for example. Like imagine what he had to go through. And that was even earlier with no GPS. Like he was actually, we heard his story when he first got into bike packing. Was it in 2005 he says? Yeah, it's like 2005. So it was before all the GPS, Wahoos, all this stuff. And he was on a Peace Corps mission in Honduras. And he had to get back home. And so he decided to ride a bike one day. He was like, screw the plane, I want to ride it. And that was his big tribulation thing he did. And he rode from Honduras back to Boulder, Colorado.
With the map.
Just a map and help from locals. He had to depend on all the locals to give him directions to get home. And that was like one of the most beautiful stories. Her was like, that is a life-changing mission right there. It was like 4,000 miles he did?
On your own. That's like the equivalent of like back in the day when the Indians would go in the forest and get lost.
That's that's what I want to do. I don't know about it with a map, but I'd probably definitely get a map with me because I've had a bad experience with GPS cracking out of me. And I don't like to depend on things like I literally like drive around the city. Not like it's like crazy. I'm from here, but or like any other place, I'll try to drive there without the GPS because I don't like relying on that shit. That's one of the things I want to do. It's either like Appalachian Trail or something, and just kind of go on my own and just hike and backpack on my own and just really try to have that experience. Like walkabout. Like up Austrians and stuff.
The Colorado Trail's marked. That one's a good one. If I could start off, that one's marked every so many trees, so it keeps you kind of on guide, and they tell you which route goes where to keep you on. But some of them don't, and some of them have dead trails that you won't know about too, and you can just go off, and that's how people just do get lost. But man,
so eventually I want to get to that point. Like that's why I bought like the sleeping bag I have. It's like for like it's really small. It was expensive.
Lightweight.
Shit. Yeah, lightweight. Because I started reading about trail weight, this stuff, different stuff. I want to get like a hammock and just to like pack really light. And whether I do a bike pack trip or something, I definitely want to do that because again, it's pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Like I think I've pushed myself out of a lot of stuff with like racing and different things like that and jumps, but I want to push it further. I want to keep pushing the envelope because I want to see what I'm really capable of. Especially after reading that book, Part of the Summer Moon, and reading about the Comanches, and like how, like when I was reading, granted it's a personal account of one of the settlers that was talking about when they saw the Comanches on horseback, how they were like riding on horseback, of course bareback, and then hanging off the side of it with a, I don't know, 9-foot spear.
And
then,
bow and arrows.
Yeah, and bow and arrows, and then hiding on one side of the horse, hanging on with, holding on to the horse's tail with their toes. And what I took from that was like, we're capable of that. And if we can find, like, not find, but it's like in my mind, it's like, if I know somebody else could do it, like if I know it's been done before, then I can do it. And I'm gonna figure out a way. I don't know, I'm gonna be riding a fucking horse. But my point is that, like, it's possible. And once I know it's possible, then I know I can do it, and I want to learn it. That's why I bought a bow. That's why I bought. I want to become a student of it and start learning how to do all these things, because if last year taught us anything with the pandemic is that we can't rely on the supply chain to take care of us. So I want to be able to, be self-sustainable. And at the end of the day, if shit doesn't ever really hit the fan, at least I learned a new skill.
I mean, I think that makes total sense. I mean, that's where everyone should be, to be on their own, self-sustainability. I mean, that's the whole point of the medical field that I don't like so much, is that most of the doctors just tell you what to do.
Right.
And they don't encourage you to go and figure out how to take care of yourself on your own. They don't facilitate that on your own, like to take your health into your own hands. A lot of doctors just say, here you go, on your way now.
It's just addressing the symptoms of the bigger problem.
And no one really teaches. No one really, like, the doc. I'm not. I met really good doctors and I met really bad doctors. So I mean, it's just like finding that balance. Finding the doctor that's right for you. I always encourage my patients, if you're not, if you don't like your doctor, he's not doing things that you're asking, then find another doctor.
Right.
Because they should be encouraging you to take your health into your own hands, and we should all be like on the path to self-sustainability. How to survive on your own, how to live on your own.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been on the side where I'm just like, you're the doctor and do what you tell me. And then it's almost like, give me a pill so I can fix it right away, whether it be pain. Because that's one thing they teach you in the military, is just like to keep going. And I'm not bitching, but it's just like, one of the things I would do is constantly pop Motrin, because you just got to keep going, And not understanding what those, just that part of it, like, does to your body, your kidneys, and your like everything else. So my point is that, like, I got conditioned in the sense, and I'm not saying I'm a victim, but it's just I didn't put enough thought or care into what they were giving me. I just took it, and like, yeah, they know what they're doing. They get paid. I'm pretty sure they have my best interest in mind. And maybe that's true for some docs, but there's a lot of them that just go away.
They just get profits off it.
Profits and stuff like that, but. Yeah, so it's all about being self-sustainable and
health.
And health. I mean, not only that, but I mean, like, when you're self-sustainable, you're more humble. And then you can actually facilitate a better community. To help other people, because you see, like, oh, I suffered through this. So let me help you. I've been through this. Let me help you. And
exactly.
It's like,
and then if the person, and then it's all about affecting your circle, right? And then affecting them with positive information where they help them help themselves. Because if there's anything I learned is where to draw the line with people that are not willing to help themselves and just kind of want, the Google search, like, just give me the answer. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'll help you, but you have to be willing to do the work to get, you know what I mean? I'll teach you, but you have to learn.
Yeah, but I mean, our society now is into gratification. That's why we want things quick. Or like, just give me the pill. Just take this pain away. I don't want to. I don't want to sit through it anymore. I want to be distracted. I don't want to be in pain while I watch my movie and stuff like that.
I don't want to do a workout to lose 50 pounds. Just lipo it out. Give me a pill.
give me a pill that burns all my fat.
Yeah, it seems like.
And I remember at one point, like, a doc told me that, and I remember getting a little angry. And then, like, in hindsight, I'm like, I was a fucking idiot. But he was just like, you need to just go get exercise. And I was like, in my mind, at that time, that moment in life, when I was younger and dumber, I just took it as, it can't be that simple. You know what I mean?
It is.
It can't be that simple. But it was just because that's the state of mind I was in, because of whatever state of conditioning I was in. And I think back to him, like, I was such a fucking idiot. But at the same time, we all were dumb at one time. Not dumb, but...
learning. We're all ignorant. You gotta learn.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Ignorant. But it's all about, like, once you learn the information, what are you going to do about it now? Like, you have to progress. You have to keep moving and changing.
Exactly.
That's the way nature is. It's constantly changing. And we, a lot of times, forget that we are nature. But,
and we coexist with nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Nature deserves our respect as well. You know,
We're the
'Cause,
stewards of the planet.
I mean, you get
That's
you
it.
get humbled by nature really quickly. You know,
Oh,
you just
yeah,
go out there and it
knock
freaks.
you on your ass.
Yeah. You know.
Correct you real quick.
Yep.
Nature who is in charge, not you.
Yep.
Nature don't give a shit about you. You don't want to move out of its way, it'll move through you.
So when it's calling, you answer. I'm just saying.
Very angry. Now you're gonna shit yourself. But on that note, I really appreciate you guys coming down and joining me with this podcast. It was great meeting you. I'll hopefully have you guys on when you guys are passing through again.
Absolutely.
Or maybe just take my stuff and we'll go set up somewhere else or whatever.
In the forest.
Hey, that'd be a fun
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, because you could use
Yeah, right. There's some internet there. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That'd be pretty cool, right?
It's the internet when I upload it.
And then we can
Oh,
go
yeah.
mountain biking
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
There you go.
Before and after.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now we're making ideas, right?
Yeah.
Now we're going somewhere with this. I like it. Crash and chug.
Yeah, so thanks for having us
hopefully,
on.
Yeah, hopefully Chug will join us next time. He's kind of working on his own ventures, but yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on again. Appreciate you guys listening. If you
Thanks for
have any,
having us.
Yeah, questions or the podcast. Oh, before we let you go, where can they find you?
KaiVentureBags.com and Instagram at KaiVentureBags. That's KaiVenture bags.
And I'll put a link in the description, and I'll put a little thing on the bottom there. So you guys-
Make sure to subscribe. You know? Make sure to get a
Make sure to
subscription.
subscribe.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Yeah, like, subscribe, comment. And,
Tell us your
follow these
experiences.
guys at KaiVentures Bags. Check out their stuff, high quality stuff, custom.
All handmade on the road in a trailer.
Yep, and check out their dog class. He's pretty cool too. All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Out.
Out.
Nature's calling. I gotta go.
That was another. I think Sandy's here too.
Is he?
Yeah, I heard the door.
Very close. Let's ready more of that.